handful of lore things about leprechauns in general. Right. Not the crazy shit that these movies do, but like, they have
that real shit.
yeah. That real, what is it? Real Housewives of the Leprechaun. That's the obvious sequel. No, but it's not only the green and the gold and the shamrocks and shit, but they come from an old time. I'm stretching to make this fit in because I really want to talk about this, but they come from an old timey sort of sensibility.
Yeah. Ye old.
Yeah. From a long time ago in a galaxy called Ireland. But, I went to the Bay Area Renaissance Festival.
Oh, yeah.
With my brother, Alistair Graves.
As people love to call it, barf.
Yeah. Yeah. It's now it is.
Yeah. Because they, I've been to a few like Renaissance fests, or medieval, fests
surprisingly big thing in Florida.
Yes. Cause I've went to the one in Sarasota before a couple times and I've been to this one a couple times, but not at their new location. Cause I think post COVID they moved.
They did. So long story short, it was in the grounds, this giant empty many 100-acre lot, not to be confused with Pooh Bear. But it was next to Mosey, and Mosey owned and operated that land, which is why it was like Bay Area Renaissance Festival presented by Mosey.
And for anyone who doesn't know, Mosey
is the Museum of Science. Good call. Museum of Science and Industry. Well, the Museum of Science and Industry shuttered
for the most part. Yeah.
And all of its property is now possessed by USF. Which is all these acronyms. The University of South. So USF bought Mosey, bought Barf.
Yes.
I hate the world. But so that area that they were doing the show on, to my understanding, I could be very wrong, but it's to my understanding that it then became we, being the university, are going to charge X amount more. And the fair has shuttered for years because of COVID. What's funny is that I was kind of involved with, like, I was dating somebody who was working at that Renaissance Festival in 2020 as the shutdown began.
Yeah, because that would have been,
it was like halfway through the season they had to close. And so it closes, never reopened there. Now it is in Dade City. For those of you unfamiliar with the area, it is like
an hour plus north of Tampa.
Yeah,
proper.
It is irresponsible to call it Bay Area.
Yeah,
you are so far away from the Bay. It's like, because we live pretty far north of like the USF area, and it was a 40-minute drive north.
Yeah,
and so it is the land, when you get into it, it's beautiful. There's like a big body of water, like a kind of a man-made body of water in the middle, and it's very well taken care of. The problem is that it is the first time this land's obviously ever been used for anything. The road in and out is like a service road. So it's dirt. Like it's collected dirt and clay and sand on top of an old shitty fucking like paved road. But now it's like, it's been buffeted by winds and shit. So like driving over it, it is like 100,000 mini speed bumps.
Okay.
I had to get up on the grass to drive away because my car was rattling.
You know what's funny? I think I read somebody else's post about this exact thing.
It felt like I was ruining my car.
You probably were.
Which, I mean, with the amount of money that I've sunk into my car in the last couple months, now I'm worried about my car. Before I didn't give a shit, but now it's personal. It's not just a car. It's family. But we went out there. It was a really good time. But you said it was something to point out, the fact that like garbage isn't a terrible term to use is because it is next to the Dade City landfill. So everywhere you go, if you look to this direction, you can see it like a mountain
of trash.
Which is good for the festival because when they're done, they just pick it all up, walk across the street, dump it into Mother Earth, right into its butthole.
That's good.
Yeah. But really what I wanted to talk about is I have been a performer of Renaissance festivals in a different chapter in my life. When I was very young, I started doing it when I was 14. I think I did it till I was like 17 or 18. I used to do pirate shows and Renaissance festivals. I was that kid, right? Well, I haven't been there in a long time. So going back out there, I was reminded that I had two, like, when you're a kid and you're out there, there are items that people that do like the fight shows and that have been on these casts, and they do Renaissance Festival performances, not unlike Mark Hamill, most famous Renaissance Festival employee ever. There are things out there that you want and that everybody has, almost like status items.
Yeah.
And for me, it was always these boots that are sold, these very nice leather boots. The company's called Son of Sandlar. People who go to Ren fairs will know exactly what I'm talking about. And I managed to get my hands on those the last couple years that I was performing out there. So that was checked off. But the other thing that I always wanted was a sword.
I mean, who doesn't?
Right. There's a comedian that was doing crowd work. It was like, hey, it's my fiance's birthday. He's like a 30-year-old white guy. What do I get him? And somebody in the crowd was like, a sword. She's like, no, fuck off. Raise your hand if you're a guy over 30 in here and you want a sword. And everyone raised their hand. It's like, yeah, everyone wants one. But I bought a sword.
Wow.
This last weekend. Yeah. I have to name it. I was thinking about naming it Third Excalibur.
Okay.
Based on both the historic blade Excalibur.
Oh, yeah.
And the best podcast in the world, the Third Channel Podcast. But it doesn't really matter. I was going to suggest doing like a poll or something of what to name PJ's sword. But after this episode, we're canceled anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't fucking
We're
matter.
done.
Yeah. Welcome to the Third Channel Podcast,
where we delve into the horror franchises you love from the perspectives of a lifelong horror fan
and a newbie to the genre. I'm PJ.
And I'm Derek.
And today, the only thing we're here to talk about is big air quotes, folks. Horror.
Oh.
We are here to, and you and I have talked about this and kind of alluded to this before. And it's not the first time in this franchise. Last week, I think we mentioned this.
Probably.
This is the worst movie we've talked about so far.
Yes. But at this point in time,
right,
I can't think of anything worse.
No, I can't think of anything that we've talked about that's even close.
Yeah.
Even the real, when I think of the real bad ones, like Jason Goes to Hell always pops out into my mind because I don't like anything about that movie. Nothing. I don't like the way it's shot. I don't like the way any of the people act. I don't like any of their performances. I like nothing about that movie.
Right.
And I would watch it every day for a year if it meant this movie would fade from reality. It's everything. It's everything bad.
Yeah.
It's underwritten. It's underacted. There's no direction at all. It feels like 50% of the dialogue is improvised, but by people who do not know how to do that.
Right.
It is also every-phobic.
Yeah, it is.
It's xenophobic. It's transphobic.
Absolutely.
Homophobic.
Yes.
It's racist as fuck, which is crazy. Because I don't know who made this movie.
Well, a white man directed it.
Okay, then it is racist. Let's be very clear. Because holy shit, it's every stereotype. It is like, I was talking to Alistair about this movie yesterday. And he was like, how bad is it? I was like, oh, it's terrible. I was like, I struggle to think of something that plays more like just baseline offensively with its stereotypes. He's like, how does this rank against Mickey Rooney's Breakfast at Tiffany's performance? I was like, oh, this is as bad, if not worse.
Yeah. This is, I love that last week you were like, you know what? I'm going to hold my thoughts until the end. I'm going to collect them and I'll tell you whether I like this movie or not by the end. And this one is just like, oh no, it's bad.
Because the last one I found myself smiling.
Yes. You can enjoy it for the silliness and the dumb choices and the like. Am I in on the joke? Are we all in on the joke or not?
In Letterboxd, what I think is interesting is with the last movie, which is, for the record, Leprechaun in 4 space.
Yeah.
I gave it half a star, but I liked it.
Oh, okay.
I hearted it.
That's a good distinction.
Yeah. This one I gave a star. I did not like it.
Did not like.
Because this is a star's worth of the technical elements that go into make it. Like, everybody's in frame. They don't do any ridiculous. Like, there's one effect kind of in the beginning, like a visual effect that looks really bad.
Okay.
But it's not near as bad as the effects in the last one.
No. Yeah, when it comes to the effects in this movie, one, they're few and far between. Most of your there's a couple practical effects that are done. They basically have one prop that I think they use 3 times.
Yeah.
And then
the biggest squibs you've ever seen.
Oh yeah. And then
because we got to talk. Eventually, we'll have to talk about the Leprechaun's new powers.
Yeah.
He's got a couple of them.
Like most of these films so far, there's been little to no continuity between what his powers are or how he gets anywhere that he currently is.
Correct. Now, the one thing, there are 2 things that I want to do. The first thing that I want to do, we mentioned a little earlier, Leprechaun and these movies, we meant it to kind of coordinate with St. Patrick's Day. Obviously, Leprechaun is to St. Patrick as like Sam is to trick or treat, as Krampus is to Christmas. But having that conversation with you the other day, it was you, me, and Dylan standing out by your car, and we were talking about that.
Okay.
And you were like, I wonder what Walker thinks of the Leprechaun movies.
Oh, yeah.
Because we've had this conversation on this show before. He does not like Trick or Treat or Krampus.
Right.
He
doesn't like Michael Dougherty.
No. And that's, I think, the reason generally. But he's like, the average of his scores between those 2 movies is a star.
Yeah.
Those are fantastic movies. I love both of them so much. Their production value, their performances, direction, visuals, everything that makes a good horror movie. I think they both do a stellar job.
Yeah.
And he didn't. He did not like them. So then we were like, well, I wonder what Walker makes of the Leprechaun series. Because, we're talking about leprechauns, but now we also have to take a second and talk about a troll. Because there's zero way that he's not a motherfucking troll.
Oh, God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, we start off strong. I'm going to go in reverse order.
Okay.
Leprechaun 4.
In space.
A single star.
Okay.
From Walker.
Very close to ours.
His review begins, nope, not defending this.
Okay, cool.
Great. Leprechaun.
Because again, if you haven't heard us talk about this guy before, his shtick, I guess, is that he defends quote unquote bad movies.
Right. Attack of the Clones, a 5-star movie.
Yeah.
But, Krampus, half a star. Yeah. That's what you can learn to accept. The Friday Dream Warriors is like a 2-star movie. But the Nightmare Dream Warriors, however many, like a 2.5, something really kind of mid-grade or low.
Yeah, the one that's deemed the best by literally everyone.
Right, but Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake, 5 stars.
Man.
This is the troll level that we're talking about. That's even more visible. Leprechaun 3, 4.5-star movie.
Wow.
That is like a perfect movie. It's like as good as you can get without it also having like a bunch of awards or whatever. That's Leprechaun 3. Leprechaun 2, 4 stars.
Okay.
It's not. It isn't. For comparison's sake, you gave Leprechaun 2 2.5 stars. Okay.
Right down the middle on that one.
Leprechaun. Best one in the series.
Started out the original of this whole thing.
The closest thing to a real movie that this entire franchise has.
That's true.
That goes down an entire star down to 3 stars. It's a fucking troll. I swear to God. Like, I want him on the show so bad. And he'd never do it.
No.
If he's listened to an episode where we mentioned him, he's like, man, fuck. We have thrown away more unread cease and desist letters than we ever got.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I wanted to do. I wanted to glimpse into the mind of someone.
I think we needed it.
Who has antithetical opinions of ours and kind of explore that. The other thing I want to do, this review, I want to do mildly differently, only in that I want to establish a question
Okay.
from the beginning. And by the end of the review, I want to see if we get to an answer.
We're going to solve it.
Yes. For the record, I realize I don't know that we have said out loud. We are discussing today, the film we are discussing is Leprechaun in the Hood, which is bad.
Yeah.
But so the franchise went, number one, it's in a small town with these people. Number two, LA, some people. Number three, Las Vegas.
Yeah, baby.
Bigger, some people. 4, space.
Some people.
And the question was like, well, why? Why did they go to space? And that was a weird conversation to begin with. But this is even stranger.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, at least in space, there are... no one hears you scream. If I listened to this episode later on and I hadn't made that joke, I'd scream at myself. But,
yeah, I did the same thing last week listening back to...
Yeah, good. I'm glad. But it is the thing of, with space as a concept, there is sci-fi horror. This is just... This wasn't a thing. It's like almost this franchise kind of begins this...
Yeah, there are... and we've made posts about it before because this is kind of there is a hip hop artist who is like the secondary antagonist in this film.
Yes.
And we've had at least 2 other movies right off the top of my head that I can think of that had hip hop stars in them.
Yeah.
Halloween, H20 has Ice Cube. And then Halloween Resurrection has Busta Rhymes.
It's not Ice Cube, it's LL Cool J.
LL Cool J, thank you.
No, because this one has Ice-T.
And then Ice Cube has starred in like Anaconda and a couple other things.
Sure, yeah. And
Ghost of Mars.
Hip-hop artists with like, and then...
Coolio makes it a guest appearance in this one.
Redman is in Seed of Chucky.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, true. I'd forgotten about that one.
Yeah.
So it is a trope. And there are Snoop Dogg has several horror films out there that he is either attached to or he stars in.
Right.
There are Tales from the Hood and Tales from the Hood 2, which are black horror anthology films.
But this is the first time we kind of see a created character, an icon. Because, I mean, that's how it's marketed.
Yeah.
It's like an icon of horror goes to the hood. And
you watched the trailer, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, don't do that. Also,
the trailer voice is like the guy who does Disney commercials is what it sounds like.
But have you noticed he says duh?
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, man. Don't do that.
Now, the second one.
Yeah, is literally, right. No, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
But the question that I want to answer by the end of this, which, by the way, let's make this one an hour.
Yeah.
Let's aim for a record.
We're gonna set a record tonight for the shortest episode for us.
Hold on. Okay, cool. Just had to make sure that I knocked on something. That was my wooden leg. But they don't know.
Well, yeah, you had an accident already with your sword.
I named it Legless.
Oh, I get it.
Anyway, the question I want to answer is, why the Hood? What about this character and this franchise? What was the spark that led them to go, you know, it'd be really good? As in a writer's room, why did they pitch it? Why did they come to... I have a couple theories, but I don't know. That's the other thing about this movie, man. I don't know what all we should even say.
We're going to have to walk a fine line with this one.
Because we are white. We are not trans. We are not Asian. Nope. We are not, I mean, we're not gay. We're not leprechauns. There are so many cultural tightropes.
Yeah, I'd really hate to piss those leprechauns off.
Well, it's also the thing of like, and we've tried in the past to do the thing of like, hey, we want to talk about, you know, especially like most recently when we had Ty on, it's like, well, because he has a perspective that we do not have and we value that perspective. But it's like, geez, we'd have to have a fucking like a city council of people in here to have a voice of every fucking culture that this movie pisses off.
What does Ja Rule think about this movie?
Who cares? You know what George Bush thinks about this movie?
Oh, God.
Let's ask Kanye. Let's also ask Kanye while we're at it what he thinks about Leprechaun in the Hood. Now, I did want to read my review of this movie really quickly. I wrote, And the reason that I was brought to this question is because of my review.
Oh, okay, good.
Because I made a joke about it, but then I thought like, well, what is the actual answer? I understand why they did the hood after space. It's because no one in space could be offended by the stereotype play. Mm-hmm. And then a second line I wrote, oh, and by the way, this movie makes it super apparent that Warwick blazes. Mm-hmm. And that's absolutely true. You watching him handle what I assume is prop weed. It probably isn't. Yeah. No, that guy smokes. And he seems pretty cool. But let's ask Kanye West if he thinks George Bush cares about Leprechaun in the Hood. Evils in the house. When Butch, Postmaster P, and Stray Bullet loot the local hip-hop mogul studio to fund their demo album, the threesome unwittingly ends up with the secret of Mac Daddy's success. A magical flute. Their gigs instantly turn golden, but a bloodthirsty leprechaun and an angry Mac Daddy are hot on their trail, leaving a wake of destruction tainted by politically incorrect limericks.
Okay.
Now that description, if you took that description and made Leprechaun in the Hood only that, that would have been way better. But that is not how this movie is paced at all.
No.
It's like, this happens, then this happens, then this happens. And then that is the second act.
Yeah.
The description that I just read is like, that's the second act. It's the second 30-minute interval of the movie. And then the first 30 minutes and the last 30 minutes are horribly offensive fucking like character vignettes played out in real time. And it's like, oh man.
Have you ever, and we mentioned, strangely, we mentioned Kevin James last episode, I believe. Have you seen Paul Blart Mall Cop 2? Mm-hmm. I've seen both those movies, and the second one especially.
We watched the second one together. I think we watched it together,
yeah. It feels like a clip show.
It does.
Like he walks from room to room, and then a thing happens in front of him that he takes part in, and buffoonery happens.
He goes into a sporting goods store and he slips on a bunch of things, and then he goes outside. Well, what's funny is I was going to make a bit, but there is a scene in 2 where he goes outside and he's like attacked by like a goose.
Yes.
Which is...
And then he gets kicked by a horse at some point, and he that's what this movie feels like, where it's like every like 5 minutes we're in a new setup, and there's one person who never leaves this building that we're currently in. We do a little bit, and then we move on to the next one.
Kevin James is the simple man's Jack Black.
Fair.
Not to be confused with Simple Jack.
Yeah.
Oh, you came up with a new Jack for the Jack Off, which if you don't understand that, we've been on for a whole year, folks. You're going to have to listen to everything because I don't even remember what movies we were talking about when we did the Jack Off. But remember, I gave you a box of Cheez-Its and they were Cheddar Jack flavored.
Right. Cheddar Jack.
Cheddar Jack.
For the Jack Off. Leprechaun in the Hood was released March 28th of 2000. It's directed by Rob Spera. It's written by, you'll begin to see our problems, Doug Hall, John Huffman, William Wells, Alan Reynolds, and Rob Spera.
Now, you can't tell a person's ethnicity by their name.
No.
But playing the averages, those are white studio guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, there's 5 of them doing rights on this movie. Produced by Bruce David Eisen, Mike Upton, and Darren Spillman. The cinematography is done by Michael Mickens, who had worked on The Wasp Woman in 95. That's I want to say that one's produced by Roger Corman. It's a remake. He did Alien Terminator in 95 and Alien Avengers 2 in 97. Both of those are directed by Dave Payne. I don't know who that is.
Nope.
Watchers Reborn, which was a horror film from 98, directed by John Carl Buechler.
Okay.
Dead 7, a 2000 horror film, and then an 2005 horror film called Reeker, also directed by Dave Payne. Probably when I started writing these notes, I thought Dave Payne was going to like pay off later on, and then it didn't. So,
okay.
You're seeing kind of the thought process.
Yeah. What a pain.
Yeah. I'm sure those films are. It's edited, and I put that lightly because,
yeah,
man, the editing in this film,
I mean, they literally fade to black.
I'm going to talk about it a lot.
Good, I'm glad.
J.J. Jackson is his name. He also was the editor on Showgirl Murders, a thriller from 96, an action film from 97 called Under Oath, Alien Avengers 2, that 97 sci-fi comedy. Those were all directed by Dave Payne. That's the little bit of a payoff. Deep Freeze, the 2001 sci-fi film directed by John Carl Buechler. And then it's funny that you mentioned Real Housewives, because J.J. Jackson was an editor on 28 episodes of Real Housewives of Orange County. Which...
What are the fucking odds?
Yeah, there's a couple things that you made mention to in the cold open that I'm like, wow, those are going to have payoffs somehow.
Amazing. We always do that.
Yeah. And we don't plan them is the weird thing.
No, we don't.
We plan a lot of things, but that is not one of them.
Yeah, every episode we've ever done is completely scripted.
But yeah, I would say, like, kind of, I think probably whenever I wrote that down, Real Housewives of Orange County, it's like, haha, yeah, that's the joke because he was an editor on that. And then it's like, no, because I think there takes some real editing talent to cut reality shows, because you have to create drama and a story where there typically isn't one. So that's not present in this film.
Fantastic.
The budget for this is $1.4 million, so just shy of what it was for 4. And again, straight to video. It is the last...
Did it go to video? Was it printed into video, or did it go to a fucking cable?
Well, see, that's what I don't know. I think it went to DVD.
Okay.
Because it came out in 2000.
It seems like this was shot and edited to like go straight to like CBS or USA or something.
It
like
clearly has okay, cross dissolves in film,
right,
and fade to blacks in film have reasons.
Sure.
They can show passage of time.
Yeah, of course.
They can be used in all sorts of ways
to indicate like the consciousness slipping away from your main characters. Yeah, a lot of reasons to do that.
But the speed in which this goes down and back up indicates to me commercial breaks.
Well, the other reason it indicates commercial breaks is because it'll be like establishing shot of building, then fade to black, then fade up, and you're in the building. And it's like, I think it just had to have been the runtime. And they were like, well, no, they got to cut, like syndicated, they got to cut to commercial.
Some of that. Yeah. It seems like that a lot. And I don't know why. This is the last entry that is released by Trimark Pictures. They disbanded in 2001. It's also technically the closest release to St. Patrick's Day because it came out in March. The director the director and one of the writers of the story was Rob Spera. He did a horror drama from '88 called Witchcraft, a thriller called The Minister's Wife, Stray Bullet, a thriller from '98, one episode of Nightman, which has popped up a couple of times in these episodes. Something called Black Scorpion. He did 4 episodes of that. Bloody Murder 2, Closing Camp, which was a slasher from 2003, and 8 episodes of Criminal Minds. So not a whole lot.
Because of this movie, now when I hear Black Scorpion, I think like, oh God, is that some horrible racist thing?
Could be.
It probably is. Track records.
The screenplay and story was written by Doug Hall. This is his only credit. The screenplay was also written by John Huffman, who had wrote a TV docudrama called Conviction in 2002. It starred Omar Epps, who was in the opening scene of Scream 2.
I thought about him the other day. He's in a commercial for Zaxby's.
Oh, yeah?
It plays like on YouTube. Like, YouTube has different ads for different apps, but it's like if you're watching it on the Apple TV, I keep seeing Omar Epps, and I just think like, why didn't his career take off?
Yeah.
He's good in everything I've seen him in.
Exactly.
House and all 5 minutes of Scream.
One of the other writers, William Wells, he did a TV drama called Relations in 2008 and The Dark Party in 2013. And then the other writer, Alan Reynolds, again, his only credit. Producer Bruce David Eisen had done Trucks and Sometimes They Come Back for More, which are both Stephen King adaptations. And then he was a producer on The Dentist 2, a horror film from 98, directed by Brian Yuzna. Producer Mike Upton had been the producer on The Wasp Woman in 95, Alien Terminator. He will return on Leprechaun Back to the Hood in 2003. the '06 version of Black Christmas, and he was an executive producer on John Wick in 2014.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Producer.
What the fuck? Okay.
Yeah.
Then this is not indicative of what his career was actually like at all.
No.
His filmography has nothing to do with what he was actually doing.
No.
He was like, he sold like coke out of the back of stolen cars. It has to be something like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to get in a lot of legal trouble for not saying allegedly. Allegedly.
Producer Darren Spillman was the producer on Showgirl Murders, Alien Avengers 2, Watchers Reborn, Stray Bullet, and this is the most important, Turbulence 2 in 99, and then he was the executive producer on Turbulence 3, Heavy Metal.
Which is the movie with Rutger Hauer and Slade Craven.
Correct. They covered on Best of the Worst.
Yeah. I hate how often nowadays, like with this franchise specifically, I hate how often our paths cross with those movies. Cause like, I didn't want this to be a shitty movie review show.
Right.
We could have done that.
It was right.
We chose not to.
But we got there.
We chose to, as old Greg would say, get as close as you could get without getting your eyes wet.
You're right. The music is done by Nicholas Rivera, who had done music for Little Witches, Guilty by Association in 2003 with Morgan Freeman, Shark Lake from 2015 with Dolph Lundgren, The Telltale Heart from 2016 with Rose McGowan, and then it might surprise you by what the soundtrack of this film sounds like, but he did a series of softcore Cinemax flicks like Fast Lane to Malibu and Fast Lane to Vegas.
Shit, when it was the fast lane to Vegas, did some chick blow the leprechaun while he drove to... That's a gross joke, but I'm going to leave it in because this is a show with integrity, folks. Even though that's an example of having zero integrity. What I was going to say is I'm very confused because the person who did the music for this movie, you would think that would be redacted.
Right.
Look, if the FBI can do all the redactions they're doing, this guy should be able to figure out how to redact his name, because the music for a movie that's like about music producers and like
hip-hop
aspiring
artists,
rappers. Coolio's in this goddamn movie, and they're just like, you know, it is the Donald Glover stand-up bit about old rap where he's like, well, I went to the hat store today and I bought myself a hat.
Yay.
That's what all of the rap in this, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, it does.
And he's like, I wrote the music. And it's like, well, you shouldn't have.
For a moment in the plot, it makes sense why it would. And then
it just stays that way.
Right. The music stays that way. But Postmaster P, like, he goes away from his whole, like, no, I rap positively and clean and, you know.
Yeah.
And then they just do the thing. Anyway, we'll get into that. The initial decision. So this is the closest I can get for what they give as to why they go to the hood.
Okay.
I watched a little bit of a documentary special thing on the Blu-ray. And they said that their initial decision to take the Leprechaun to the hood was from looking at the demographics of who loved the previous films. And it was largely an African-American audience. So
what was that? A question on the census?
I guess.
How do you know that information?
I don't know how you look that information up.
Because even now I find that, like, it's not like when you buy a movie ticket on like AMC or Adam. It's like, hey, what movie are you seeing? Like, thank you for using Adam. Pick your theater, movie, and time. Also, are you black?
Yeah.
Like,
what's your age, your gender, and your race?
It's like, you know, a surprising amount of Filipino people watch Scream 7. And it's like, there is no way you should be able to know that.
Yeah. I don't know how they know it, but that's what they said.
I listen, I'm fine to believe that. There are things that different cultures love that surprise you. And Leprechaun shouldn't be one of them. It shouldn't be. I'm brave enough to say that.
Wow.
I got my integrity back.
I'm proud of you. They basically said, how can we be more outrageous than Vegas? So we take him to space. And then how can we be more outrageous than space? We take him to the hood. But anyway, the little bit of production notes that I actually have for this are basically that any of the sets that were built, which were few and far between, were done at the Lacey Street Production Center in like Southside LA, as far as I'm aware.
Mm-hmm.
The hallways that were in the church scene, they were the actual hallways of the studio, as well as they used the outer like brick walls and the rooftop used for any of the exterior shots. They shot on location in South Central LA. They said that they could hear gunshots and arguments all around them while they were shooting. Warwick tells a quick story about how he was afraid that he would get in trouble for wearing the wrong colors, being in green all the time, because you have all the different gang members and all the different colors that they're flying.
That's so cute.
But he also said that gang members would just walk onto set and nothing could really be done to stop them in any way, which was kind of like how the Candyman set was.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was going to say, is this reminds me a lot of Day of the Dead visually.
Yeah.
Except in comparison, Day of the Dead needs like 3 Oscars.
Oh, my God. Speaking of Oscars, Warwick Davis was nominated for the Video Business Video Premiere Award for Best Actor in a direct-to-video release.
Okay.
I guess there's video awards out there, or there were. But
he
he sadly lost to Courtney B. Vance for something called Love and Action in Chicago. Now, I did some research into this award, and I will say that you mentioned him a moment ago. Mark Hamill and Bruce Timm, they actually won for Best Animated Character in a Video Premiere for that year for Joker in Batman Beyond: The Return of Joker.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I did some research into that Courtney Vance person, and it turns out that's the opiate person who let her son, J.D. Vance, fuck a couch and then become the vice president.
Interesting blend.
Interesting bullshit. That's the bomb right there.
The bomb? Ah, the bomb. A friend with weed is a friend indeed. But a friend with gold is the best, I'm told. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Oh,
Gold who?
gold finger. Now find me gold in record time, or you'll suffer a bloody, hideous crime.
So 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, he says a friend with weed is a friend indeed. And a friend of ours who is absolutely clearly smoking something. Walker gave this entrance 4.5 stars.
Wow.
No review, by the way.
Oh.
I can't check his work.
Yeah, he didn't defend it.
No.
No.
Jesus. The other thing is one of the reasons that I thought maybe they take it to the hood, and they even mention it in the synopsis of the movie, is that in every other entrance in this series, the leprechaun rhymes a lot.
Yes.
And I thought maybe that might have something to do with it. It's a story about sort of hip hop and wannabe hip hop artists. And so maybe but that feels too clever of a reason.
Yeah. Okay. I like your reasoning though.
But I feel like if that had something to do with it, they would have played on that a lot more. Like, hey, little man, can I borrow that rhyme? Or like, oh, that line's really good.
Or like he goes up against them in a rap battle.
Right. But it's nothing like that. No. It's and so like and spoiler, he does have a rap.
Yeah.
And it's terrible.
It is.
It's just god awful.
I have a thought about that rap when we get there.
Okay. Well, we only have about 22 minutes.
Okay, good. This movie starts
Yeah.
with reused footage from the original Leprechaun film. It's the same footage from the opening of that, and he has a different rhyme to basically set up that he's going to the hood.
Well, it's that he's going to the hood and that he has a flute.
Oh, yeah.
And that it's a really big deal.
He's never mentioned it before.
Yeah, we got to keep a lore tracker in this one. All right, guys, lore. Flute.
Okay, that's new.
It's a big goddamn deal, that flute.
We're in LA, California, once again. We have Mac Daddy Onassis and his partner Slug.
In the tallest boots you've ever seen.
Yeah. They break through this wall, and I guess because they have a map, They're looking for a room that's supposed to be filled with gold.
Right. And they go into like a room off of a subway tunnel.
Uh-huh.
And they find Billy D. Williams' lair. And I say that because it's filled with Colt 45.
That's a good pull.
And then like a half a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
They get into a fight.
And Mac Daddy throws Slug through a wall. And then they find a statue of a leprechaun that looks similar, but not identical to the one that's in 3.
No, because this one's very green.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clearly post-edited to be green.
And he has that amulet around his neck like he did then. It's a different amulet, but
it seems like they keep that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that wasn't mentioned in
Space at
any of the others.
No.
But we are back to rhyming. So it's these weird, like,
maybe it's
certain through lines and certain things.
You mentioned once to me that maybe there are multiple leprechauns. They just all look like Warwick Davis. I'm coming around to this.
Okay.
I think that's a good working theory.
Okay, good. Great.
Yeah.
Mac Daddy
I
Onassis.
hate that I have to talk about that.
Yes.
And you're directly responsible.
Oh, okay. So I'm to blame here.
You picked this franchise.
Yeah, we're getting close to the end of our lives. Mac Daddy Onassis is played by Ice-T.
Good God,
I didn't know
phones
this.
it in.
He was in Breakin' and Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Wow.
Yeah. He's also in Tank Girl.
Yes, he is.
Johnny Mnemonic, which I mentioned in a joke a couple weeks ago, I think.
Okay.
He is in the 99 horror film called Urban Menace. And then most famously for his acting roles, he is in 566 episodes currently of Law and Order Special Victims Unit.
He is also an old member of a hardcore punk band.
Yeah.
Wherein he wrote and performed the song Cop Killer.
Oh.
Which I find funny because he would then go on to be a cop in TV for most of his life.
Yeah. Slug
Played
is
by
Barima McKnight. He was in something called Three Strikes. It was a 2000 comedy.
Which is ironic because this was his second strike, but he still got out. It's Ice-T has been in things before, but he's not an actor. He's a personality.
Yeah, but I think that's why, like what we were talking about off the top is, I think that's why like a lot of hip hop stars do kind of well in certain roles in acting, because I think a lot of like their persona is very much an act and put on and bigger than life.
Yeah, I can. It's why I think wrestlers, the Batista and the John Cena of it all, eventually they can go on to deliver good performances. But and I've seen Ice-T do very well on camera, and he does not. He comes off as just obnoxious.
I kind of dig his part in this because I look at it. Everything else about this movie, and we haven't even done anything yet, but everything about this movie is like, I can't even say that it's like a cartoon, because I think Leprechaun 3 and Space get closer to like that living cartoon, like we've talked about with other movies.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel like that. This feels like, have you ever seen some of the humor that's in this reminds me of, have you ever seen, did you watch Kenan and Kel on Nickelodeon?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Did you see their movie, Kenan and Kel, Two Heads Are Better Than None?
No.
It was a movie that was like a horror comedy, and it basically acted as like kind of the end of that show. Like after like 2 or 3 seasons that it was on, they did this movie, and they go on a road trip and they end up at this castle, and there's like, a mad scientist and all this shit. And there's like a headless horseman situation sort of going on.
Okay.
It's the whole thing. But it seems like that level of like TV writing and comedy.
It feels, and I have in my notes, it feels like a Nick at Night sort of like teen humor. The other thing, speaking of best of the
except
worst,
they can say bad words.
Yes. Yeah. And they do a lot. But the other thing it reminds me of is, speaking of best of the worst, they do a video that I don't know how old it is, but they talk about, they get a tape and they watch it, and it's like a demo reel tape for a like comedy touring dance hip hop group called the Blackstreet Boys.
Okay. Yeah.
It's all shot on video, and it very much feels like that sort of roundhouse, like just ridiculous, over the top hip hop adjacent humor where it's not actually in the hip hop culture, but it's like, well, look, us too. And that's, the whole thing. And this is a really good, because like, okay, to get back to the plot,
the Mac Daddy of it all.
Yeah. He throws the guy into the wall, who then
they find the statue,
sees it all.
And Mac Daddy is like, there's the pot of gold. So they're like, oh, there's some gold. But then Mac Daddy finds that golden flute.
Remember from the beginning, which we're still in. And he's like, this is all I give a fuck about. And he bounces. Well, he goes into the other room
and then
drink a Colt 45.
Slug starts packing up the gold and he takes off the medallion, which immediately wakes up the leprechaun just like last time.
And then the leprechaun, Slug sees a leprechaun and the leprechaun says nothing. Slug says nothing. They just kind of breathe at each other while he backs. Keep in mind, Ice-T is like from me to you.
Yeah, he's in the other room, like the first room where the Colt 45 is.
And the wall is exploded.
Right.
So he could turn around and see. And all that guy would have to do is like, hey man, they say nothing. He backs him into the corner. And immediately the stereotypical, like, this shit begins. Now, this I don't mind as much because this is supposed to take place in obviously like the 70s.
Yeah, something like that.
Their outfits, the way they're dressed. He takes the afro pick out of Slug's hair and he sticks him in the neck with it.
Yeah.
And then he goes like, and stumbles back into frame.
And that's when Mac Daddy notices the leprechaun.
Well, and he notices Slug too,
Yeah.
and he's not like, oh my God.
Right.
He's like, ew.
Yeah.
Ew. He's like, ugh. Like, why?
That's gross, man.
He shoots people. And he's like, oh, you got you got like an ice pick.
Yeah.
Because he's Ice-T.
Oh.
There it is.
I get it.
But yes, he sees the leprechaun.
Yeah. And I like this little exchange. It's very
the two of them together is fun.
Oh yeah. It's very dumb. But it's like Mac Daddy reaches up, he pulls his gun at the leprechaun. And then the leprechaun uses another one of his powers to make the gun heat up. So he drops it.
For those of you who play Dungeons and Dragons, the leprechaun is a druid and he can cast heat metal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which I don't do and I don't play and I don't understand, but fine.
Yeah. And then he reaches up into his afro and he pulls out a switchblade, which then the leprechaun, I think, knocks out of his hand with force powers as well.
Yeah, that's a spell called telekinesis. Again, I don't play Dungeons and Dragons. Please continue, Derek.
And then Mac Daddy reaches again into his fro and he pulls out a like mini baseball bat. Yeah. But it is larger than his fro could hide.
It's a good bit.
It's a good bit.
It's a funny visual gag. That would be a cantrip. That's just shillelagh. But anyway, yeah.
He got the shillelagh in there, though.
He got the shillelagh in his afro.
But knocks it out of his hand as well. And then he reaches for another thing and there's nothing else left in his hair. And so he just kind of gets backed into the corner. And then he turns on like a valve.
It's like hot steam.
Yeah. And so the leprechaun like tumbles backwards and he steps onto a plank that's like on a fulcrum. And so he knocks the medallion that's sitting on the other end up into the air and it lands on him.
Yeah. Bilbo falls backwards and he's got his hand outstretched and the ring slips on his finger and he vanishes.
Yeah. And so accidentally, he turns back into a statue and then Mac Daddy is like, got the flute and he's like, I'm going to Motown.
Yeah. Now this is the visual effect that I mentioned earlier that looks terrible because then it's like uncanny valley, like analog horror. It is like the most disgusting, bizarre face that Warwick made that they clearly tried to digitally like scan and they did it terribly. So it is just like, the face at the very end, like if the people when they would watch Paranormal Activity and the wife would like rush the camera at the end, it's like people would pause it to get the creepy demon face. It's what it looks like, but it's on the screen for like 30 seconds. It's like, please.
Like, that's the horror of this film.
Yeah, I've seen some terrifying shit. It's like, this has, the girl from The Ring in the Closet has nothing to do with, nothing on this. This is way more frightening.
We jump like 20 years later.
Thank God.
And we have a bunch of wannabe rap artists, Postmaster P, Stray Bullet, and Butch. They are at like a talent show, basically.
Yeah. They're doing like, they're spitting some bars about being good and doing your homework.
Like Will Smith, whenever he started, was his grandmother like found his raps and was just like, you shouldn't be cursing like this. And so he was like, okay, Granny, I promise I'll never curse in my raps. And so then he was like a clean rapper. that's like what Postmaster P is like trying to do here.
There's this awesome story because what I was reminded of, there's this awesome story about Eddie Murphy and Rodney Dangerfield. And Rodney Dangerfield, biggest.
He got no respect.
No respect at all. He was the biggest comedian. That was good. We should do that a lot more. He's the biggest stand-up comedian on earth. And he sees Eddie Murphy's very beginning of his career. And apparently the story goes, he walks up to Eddie Murphy and he's like, "Hey kid, you shouldn't swear that much. It's not going to get you very far." And then he meets him again like 3 or 4 years later, and his big, like Michael Jackson red leather jacket, whatever that special is called. Yeah, that's come out. He's SNL famous. He's like the biggest comedian in the world. And he meets Rodney Dangerfield again, and Rodney Dangerfield apparently said, "Hey, I was wrong." And like that's their two exchanges. And it's like, that's what this reminds me of this is the Rodney Dangerfield of like his two friends are like, "No, come on, man. We got to be gangbangers. That's what gets you far." And Postmaster P is like, "I love Jesus Christ and I love the Mendez program. Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs, guys.
Don't do drugs."
Postmaster P is played by Anthony Montgomery, who is, I think his biggest role is probably Star Trek Enterprise for 98 episodes. He was like a series regular on that. He plays Travis Mayweather, I believe is the character's name. He is in the 2013 thriller Chariot, and then another thriller from 2020 called Who Wants Me Dead, and he did 130 episodes of General Hospital.
He's working in 2020? Good for this guy.
Still working, baby.
Yeah.
Stray Bullet is played by Rashawn Nall, who was in 3 Strikes with that guy who played Slug.
Okay.
That's the reason I listed it
Is
earlier.
he in more than 3 things?
Yeah, he's in Devil's Prey, which is a horror movie in 2001. And then he was in The Wash, the 2001 comedy with Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre.
Okay. So he has a thing.
Yes. And then Butch, who is like their DJ, is played by Red Grant is his name. And he is in, I did not know this movie existed. It's a movie called Strays. It's a 97 crime film that was written and directed by Vin Diesel.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God. That's got to be terrible.
Do you know that Vin Diesel's his full first name is Vehicle Identification Number Diesel? Anyway. Red Grant also.
Shut up. I have heard that so many times. Only right now has that clicked with me of like, okay, that is a good joke. And it's because you fucking, God damn it. Do we know what his real name is? Who cares?
Yeah, Vin.
The guy loves families.
He really does.
Not his own, but others.
Speaking of families, Red Grant was in something called Family Reunion, the movie, which was a 2003 comedy that he wrote and directed.
Okay.
I guess he's like a comedian.
Sure.
Outside of this.
Oh, yeah, he comes off as one. That's not me lying.
Uh-huh.
He's fun. No, he's terrible in this.
He's like his character is the smart idiot.
Yeah.
Because he knows how like
chemicals work.
Right.
But then he's
said dumb.
I guess. I don't know.
And it starts off here because I don't know what he's doing back there other than being a hype man, but then it causes an explosion.
Yeah, one of like the speakers of this building explode, which by the way, every single set in this movie looks like, I don't know. It's like impossible to describe. It looks like the waiting room of like a Mavis Discount Tires. It's like all terribly lit and very like, I don't know. It looks like an auto garage, like lobby.
And it's because any of those like quote unquote sets were all in this one building. Yeah. And they just shot in different corners and different little, pieces of it.
Well, one of the speakers of this building explodes.
And so they get kicked out.
And the guy's like, "Get out of here. And you better give me more equipment or I'm going to like press charges, I guess."
Yeah.
I don't know.
And so then their grand scheme then is to try and sell a guitar that they claim it used to belong to Jimi Hendrix to a pawn shop owner. A couple of like shop owners. Jackie D. Redding is the first and Chow is the second.
Yeah. Now, if you're familiar with the works of J.K. Rowling, you'll recognize Chow. Chow would go on to be the father of Cho Chang, an equally racist name from an equally bigoted writing group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jackie D. Redding is played by Dan Martin, who was in Sleepwalkers, a 92 Stephen King adaptation. He was in Nightmare Cinema, 2018 horror film anthology. Both of those were directed by Mick Garris.
Oh, okay.
And then he did 238 episodes of Bold and the Beautiful.
Yeah, he's not bad, but he doesn't get enough screen
No,
time.
he doesn't. They don't give him much to do.
No, one of the things he does, and I mentioned this to you earlier, one of the things he does is I thought was in a competent movie, he would serve to tell the audience who your three characters are at their core. The root identifier of each of the characters. Cause he's like, man, Post, you gotta get with like a better crowd. You gotta be smarter than this. And like, man, Stray, you ain't no gangster. You're a big softy. And so then he looks at Butch and he's like, and you, Butch, you gotta get some. And I'm thinking brains, obviously, because he's like clumsy and he's like a fuck up. And then he's like, you gotta get some pussy. And I was like, oh, right. That's the kind of movie that we're watching right now.
Yeah, that's a running theme and a running joke in this whole movie is that Butch is a virgin and everyone in this section of town that knows him all know that he's a virgin.
Including little old grandmas.
And they picked on him.
She sniffed it out.
Yeah, she really did.
She was like, man, that dick has never made love. And he's like, please, grandma. It's all right. It's not his grandma.
Yeah, that's true.
But it is a grandma.
It is a grandma. They when that doesn't work, because they try and sell this guitar and they're like, yeah, it's signed by Jimi Hendrix. It definitely belonged to him. And it's like, well, this is a 1971 guitar and he died in 1970.
Yeah.
So then they go to another shop, which is owned by Chow Yun Pai, who's played by the actor Jack Ong, who was in Mac and Me, 1988.
What the fuck?
He was in My Summer Story in 94, directed by Bob Clark.
Okay. God damn, everything we talk about.
Uh-huh. And then he was in a 2000 thriller called Devil in the Flesh 2. That's the closest I could find to another horror thing.
Yeah. He is stereotypical Asian shop owner. It's like Gremlins all over again.
Yeah.
Except instead of a Maogwai in his possession, he just has a weird jar of body part.
Yeah.
Like blackened body part in pickle juice.
Yeah.
It's really bizarre.
Really bizarre.
I don't understand the point of it.
I do not either. I think it's to have a quote unquote payoff later whenever he is murdered. And then the leprechaun, I think, puts his body parts in jars.
Yeah, I think it's both that and also when they're at whatever Ice-T's character's name is.
Mac Daddy.
Yeah, when they're at his place and he goes, because he's touching this weird jar in Chow's pawn shop and Chow's like, hey, don't fucking touch that. That doesn't belong to you. And then later at Mac Daddy's house, he's touching a leprechaun statue.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Or the case that it's in.
Okay.
But if any of these were smart, you'd be able to go, oh, that's what, and not, I think it's maybe for, but who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If only this were a movie. They get kicked out of there as well. Yep. And then they just happen to look down the like alleyway and they're like, oh, well, there's, Mac Daddy Onassis.
Yeah.
He's getting in his limo right now. He's the biggest, he used to be a pimp and now he's the biggest hip hop star on the planet.
No pressure, but we got about 2 minutes to wrap this up.
Okay. Real quick. So
Leprechaun is played by Warwick Davis.
Yes, he is. But we've talked all about that.
Yeah.
He's still doing his Warwick Davis best.
He's got his boots,
Yep.
hat, black stuff on his teeth.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Having a great time.
But the makeup looks great. The makeup has never wavered.
I hate how good it looks in this. Because it's like, it's the best it's looked.
Oh, yeah. And the costume looks sharp.
Yeah.
The color pops on it.
Yeah. Like his wig finally looks like real hair.
Yes.
I don't love it.
It's a little longer than it had been.
Like, I love it because it's great, but I don't love the fact that they finally got their, like, wig game on point.
That's where all the budget went. Those wigs, they're expensive.
They wouldn't budge on the wig budget.
So, for no reason, because they're just standing, like, in this alley, Mac Daddy just stops his limo and rolls down the window, and he's like, you guys are some wannabe rappers. Get in my car and prove it.
Yeah.
And then takes them to his office.
Yeah. And it's the funniest thing ever because he's like, he listens to their demo tape. And then what I imagined was the writers of now I know the 5 writers of this film trying to, and now maybe not because none of them had ever worked on anything before. And if they did, it wasn't real. Like there was no studio involvement. I originally thought maybe this was supposed to be like like projecting about like, man, the studio system always gets involved and tries to ruin your creative process. Cause Mac Daddy is like, hey, here's the thing. What you gave me, it's fine. And we can do something about it. And then he smashes the tape and he's like, but you got to change everything. And I was like, oh, clever.
Yeah.
But I don't think that that's what they were intending at all. I don't think these people understand that there's a studio to interfere with because I think they all work for that studio.
Yeah.
They're the ones that would normally interfere.
Well, that studio is about to shutter.
Right.
They may not know that at the time. This is
a panic attack.
Yeah.
This is TriStar? Trimark. This is Trimark's death rattle.
Yeah.
It's also why this movie feels like a McDonald's commercial.
Like Mac and me.
I'm over it.
But yeah, I love that in the middle of Mac Daddy's office, he has the leprechaun statue under glass.
Yeah, why wouldn't you bury it?
Right. No, you keep your enemies closer or whatever.
Yeah, bury it in the foundation of your house.
Oh, that's a good point.
Like, dig 50 feet down. The first thing you do when you sell your first Golden Flute album is rent like one of those, industrial mining diggy things.
Yeah.
And just 50 feet into the ground. Dump him down there and fill it with concrete. Because then you got the magic flute forever. You can pass down to everybody. He's going to be down there being like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. That's a good point.
No, but he was like, man, I'm displaying this little guy.
If you had one, wouldn't you?
No, I would do what I said.
Do you think they reproduce those statues?
Aren't they doing, I know their Trick or Treat Studios is doing like a 1-1 scale, like they do their Chucky dolls.
Yeah.
If they did a statue, like a little, like a desk ornament or something, I think I'd buy that.
Yeah.
I'm not buying the fucking 1-1 thing because that's going to be hundreds.
Yeah.
And I have no interest in having that thing in my fucking house.
But yeah, it got funded in like a day because it was up on like a Kickstarter or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mac Daddy is basically like, he listens and he's like, you guys need to make more aggressive rap. That's where the game's at right now. And Postmaster's like, no. The whole thing is I do positive rap for the kids. No, I don't know what it is.
Well, and we can touch on that briefly. The pawn shop owner, not Chow, but the other one, is like
Jackie Dee.
And he's like, Postmaster Pete, you're not even in the army. Like, where do you get Postmaster from? And he's like, no, because I deliver that's what the P stands for. I deliver a positive message. Yeah. And
that's some good branding.
Yeah. While watching it, I went, and I threw up everywhere because that's stupid and obnoxious.
Yeah, which is why he kicks them out.
That's what I mean. It feels like Nick at Night.
Yes. And that's, I guess, because a lot of the humor in this, it feels like that. It feels like a snick, teen comedy that they get to use bad language and have ladies, in hip hop outfits dance around and shit. But like, that's the level of humor. But then I'm like, does this humor work for who I assume by their words is the intended audience of African-American people?
But here's the problem. People of color, because the very first instinct I have is, well, let's ask.
Right.
And I would say, hey, guys, give us feedback. I'd love to know about that. But I don't want to be the studio that's like, well, a lot of people of color love the Leprechaun movie. It's like, I'm not willing to ask out into the void. Like, hey, if you're black, you should answer these questions. Like, I'm not comfortable doing that.
Yeah. But it's also, I guess it's kind of the question that I have about, and I haven't seen any of this film, so I can't speak to their quality. All I can go off of is what they look like to me. But like the Medea films.
Sure.
Because that's like this weird gray area to me where it's like, who is the guy who does the Medea
Tyler
film?
Perry.
Thank you. Tyler Perry makes these films, and those aren't the only movies he makes. He makes a ton of movies. He has the largest
film catalog ever. Yeah.
So he creates a lot of work and jobs and positions for black artists to do things. But then also the Medea movies that he makes so much money off of, they just seem to me to be negative stereotypes
that are exploitative because they play really well for white audiences.
Right. And so it's like, that's what this kind of feels like.
Yeah.
And then I also have to question, and again, I haven't seen these sorts of movies either. But like the Friday movies, like the Ice Cube. Chris Tucker is, I think the other. I've never seen those. And there's like 3 or 4 of those. And I think there's another one that they're working on right now. I've never seen those, but it's like those are like stoner comedies. And so it's like, do audiences who like those movies also like these Leprechaun movies in the hood? Like,
and if so, what is the parallel?
Right.
Because again, this is the point of this review, is to figure out why they would do this. Because I can't see a thing that connects like Medea's family Christmas to Leprechaun in Vegas fucking turning a lady's titties into explosives. Like, I don't see the parallel at all.
Yeah. The closest we get to that is there is a man in drag in this movie.
Yeah. Well,
actually, there was a man in drag in Leprechaun 4.
In and around the like 90s, like late 90s, early 2000s of it all. I mean, you've got like Scream 2, which clearly is like, yeah. And, black audiences tend to have, and we talked about that in Scream 2 with Ty, where it's like the audiences at that time tend to have a different experience that for that community seems to have stuck around, which is like, well, yeah, we are so used to being, kind of targeted that, yeah, we would never stay in the house. Curiosity would never kill our cat, like ever. And so it is surprising to hear that the studio's answer is like, oh, well, yeah, they love these movies. And it's like, okay.
So let's make one for them.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
But anyway, as revenge for getting kicked out by.
Well, yeah,
by
we're
them.
right at the end of the movie. So basically the Leprechaun's like, listen up. No, I thought I could trick him, guys, but he's got a chronological list.
They being, Post and Stray,
our
and Butch.
gang.
They decide to break into Mac Daddy's office and steal the medallion off the statue, and then they're going to buy, use that to buy a new sound system, which got destroyed because of the explosion.
That would be fun if they did like a Scooby-Doo gang, but instead of Scooby-Doo, it was the Leprechaun. And it's like Post is Fred, and Butch is Shaggy,
right? Yoinks.
Yeah,
Zoinks.
And Stray Bullet is
Scooby-Doo.
Well, I was gonna say he's Scrappy. Leprechaun is Scooby, and then I was gonna say that Fontaine is Velma.
Okay,
and then all of the girls that get green eyeballs, they're all together. They make Daphne.
All right, I can see that.
Yeah.
This is where the editing, to me, really, like, there is this thing that happens in this moment.
Okay.
Post doesn't want to go through with this plan of stealing, of breaking in and stealing anything.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I want no part of this. And so he leaves. And they're like, well, if you change your mind, you meet us tonight at the spot. And then the next shot that we see is them being Butch and Stray are sitting, and they're like, okay, man. And they're like hyping each other up of just like, oh man, we're going to go. And like you said, it all sounds like they're just ad-libbing.
Yeah.
Poorly.
Yeah.
And then they turn around and they're like, man, who is that? Is that Post? And then he walks over to them. It's all done in one long take. Them sitting on this piece of like concrete, moving over, Post walking up to them from a distance. But there are 3 crossfades that happen within this scene. And so you see them like, because they're not standing bolt still, you're seeing Post walk toward them. And so he like jumps ahead and then jumps closer to them again. But then they also like crossfade move weird. And it's like,
this is the prequel to the Hayden Christensen film Jumper.
yes.
Yeah.
So it made me begin questioning of like, why did they must have like decided, oh, we're going to shoot this as one long take. And then they were like in the edit, they were just like, oh man, it takes Post a long time to walk that distance. So but we didn't shoot any other coverage. There's no way to cut around this.
Which is funny because had they, and then also had they blocked it on the day of then like, well, we need to see how long it takes for him to get from here to here so that we can kind of time like, guys, you have like, the 20 seconds go, then it would have lined up. But that it's just take after take of the same angles of like, guys, you have to wrap up your fucking conversation. Stop hawking for the spotlight here.
Yeah. And so
Because that's the other thing it feels like is that every performer that isn't Ice-T or Warwick Davis is like, no, me, look at me, push everyone out of my way.
This is going to be my moment.
Yeah.
This is going to take off right
This
after
is going to be my breaking out.
Sure.
Because Ice-T was in Breaking.
Yeah. And Breaking 2.
Yeah.
Electric Boogaloo. But yeah, and so it's like, okay, they have nothing to cut to. So we'll just cut it and cross fade between them. Nobody will know the difference. But they do it 3 times. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, okay, maybe this is a stylistic choice. But then it never happens again in the rest of the movie. So it's like, nope, never mind. That's out of the question.
Again, a stylistic choice would be too clever. Mm. It would be too personalized.
And on top of all of that, the little bit that it actually trims out of this movie is maybe 30 seconds. So why did they need to trim it at all?
Because all you have to do is trim out the entire argument about not doing it, trim that part out, and then cut from we're doing this at this time, and then cut to the robbery.
Yep.
That saves minutes.
This movie's only 90, and it's the longest 90 minutes you will ever experience. I'm sorry, folks, if you're watching this.
Yeah, it needs to be 25 minutes, and it needed to have been a YouTube short.
Yeah, it needed to be an episode of a Snick show.
Yeah, called Leprechaun in the Hood.
Yeah. But yeah, they break into Mac Daddy's office. They find a bunch of gold.
Fucking Butch has C4.
Yeah, he does. Like, he knows chemicals.
Plastic explosives. You know, okay. No guy in the south side of LA with a chemistry set is whipping up C4.
Right. Except for Butch.
Yeah. Because he doesn't get pussy, but he can blow things up.
No. But they find gold. They find a gun. And then, Butch, it's a glass case
that the leprechaun is in.
You could smash it with a hammer.
Yeah, but
you could smash it with the butt of the gun you just found.
But no, he takes a fistful of plastic explosives, which would level that fucking apartment. It would level it. Not this guy. No, because he made it really bad. It's basically a cherry bomb.
And then Mac Daddy comes into the middle of it.
And so Post shoots him.
Yeah.
Which then completely undoes, because you'd think he'd be like, well, no, I'm not answering violence with violence.
That's what I mean. So Post, his whole character, what we set up is, these are the morals that I'm standing for.
Yeah.
I do a positive message. I don't want to be...
I'm the DARE program.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't want to do the robbery. He shoots in a panic. Let's say it's a panic. He feels bad about it afterwards. From then on, the rap is different.
Yeah.
The way they act is different. He doesn't seem to have those qualms anymore.
And
that goes out the window.
And if it were an intelligent movie that was written for an actual plot in mind, it would be because the flute is changing them.
Yeah.
Like The Ring. I can't believe I get to talk about Lord of the Rings this much. But what a lucky day. And I got to talk about D&D and my sword. Favorite episode so far.
Wow.
Best one yet.
Oh.
To quote Griffin Newman. Best one yet. But it is. They don't do anything clever with it, and it's hard to justify that he did it in a panic, because they cut from him with a gun to Postmaster to Mac Daddy, back to Post, back to Mac. So it's like they sit in that moment for like 5-10 seconds, and then he's like bang, and it's like, oh, you weighed all your options and you decided to shoot still.
Yeah. But so he kind of checks him for any gold that he might have on him, and the only thing he can find is this flute that he has wrapped around his wrist, because the flute conveniently has a little gold chain.
Well, it's gold,
like a little wristlet.
Yeah. Ready, guys? Act 2. We can speed through the fucking pawn shop shit. They go back to each pawn shop.
Yeah, Butch also in all of this takes the amulet, now that he's blown up the glass.
Right.
Takes the amulet off. So he lets loose the leprechaun, who they also shoot at. And then they run.
Now, the question in my mind is, if the plastic explosives had worked the way plastic explosives would work, and they blew him up while he was concrete, if the medallion was also blown up and it was all blown up together, would the statue spell wear off and it would just be chunks of blown apart leprechaun?
But then could he reform like he does in Leprechaun 4?
That's a different leprechaun.
Okay.
Going by your theory.
Okay.
That is a different minion of hell.
Okay. I will say that their whole point in this whole thing is they need to win this little contest so that they can go to Vegas to win a bigger contest.
Yeah,
So they're trying to catch up with that other leprechaun.
Stray Bullet at one point says, quote, straight to Vegas. And I was like, man, you guys are years too late.
But thankfully, Mac Daddy survived because the bullet hit his medallion that he was wearing.
Yeah. And then the rest of the time we see him, he's wearing like a hand bandage.
Yes. Oh, but that's because our clip.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Thank you.
He leaves from here. He sees that Leprechaun has reawakened. And so he bolts from his office and he goes to a club and he calls a henchman anyone who works for him who must know about this whole Leprechaun deal, because he's just like, no, this is for real. Bring the guns. Bring all the guns. He's back. It's going to happen. And so then he goes into the bathroom.
It's like in Prisoner of Azkaban. No. Order of the Phoenix. When Dolores Umbridge is like, Voldemort's not back, and Harry's like, yes, the fuck he is, and she's like, no, he's not. The fucking Mac Daddy's like, the Leprechaun's back, and everyone's like, Leprechaun, dude, are you back on that shit? And he's like, he was in my office. Did you see him? And they're like, we just thought that was like a weird fetish thing.
Yeah,
we just thought that was like a statue that you put your loads in.
It was, but it's also a living leprechaun.
That's really that would be one more horrible thing that this movie did.
Yeah. But Mac Daddy goes into the club's bathroom where he is followed by the leprechaun. And this is where our clip comes in, because he smokes a joint, or they smoke a joint together.
Yeah, a friend with weed is a friend indeed.
And then the leprechaun rips his finger off for his gold ring. And
which he has done in these movies before. Like this exact thing. He's torn a finger off to get a gold ring.
He's it's one of his things.
Yeah.
And then Mac Daddy leaves, and Leprechaun then attacks the club owner. And this is where there's this scene where clearly the editing like a scene is cut here, because he knocks the club owner back into the sound system, and it record scratches, and then he's like, what is that? It's like, what is that? That's rap. It's like, rap? Because the leprechaun doesn't know what rap is.
Yeah.
So he's introduced to that. And then the club owner is going to hit him with a mic stand, and the leprechaun electrocutes him with green lightning and kills him.
So now he has also his lightning power. So remember, flute, D&D spells, lightning. Oh yeah, this is fucking chain lightning, baby.
Yeah. But we leave there, and the guys go back to first Jackie D's pawn shop. They use the gold. They buy music equipment, and they get $450 from him. And this is where Post blows into the flute for the first time. Mac Daddy is trying to get he's trying to go after them for the flute, because that is the key to his success, is what he has said. Right. And so whenever Post blows into this flute for the first time, now a flute. I didn't take band in school. No, it's a woodwind instrument that you push your mouth against a reed and the opening. Right. And then there is a series of holes. Right. And which holes are covered is how much air is then pushed through the instrument and let out. So the tone changes. It's how you make notes. So what Post does is he takes it and he just puts it to his mouth and he goes, he hits it like a vape. Yeah. And then it goes, and it plays like fucking Dune, Arrakis music out of it. But also, doesn't a flute typically have a hole at either end of it as well? Because you got to be blowing through it. I think so. But I mean, maybe not. Because there's not ones on this one. There's just the holes drilled across the top of it. Yeah. I'm just saying it. Who's to say he's even blowing into a hole? This might just be like a little pipe that, oh shit. Is this a bowl? Yeah. Is this for weed smoking? Yeah. A friend with weed has me flute. But basically it everyone reacts to that sound. They get hypnotized for a moment. Yeah. Yeah. And then and then it hard cuts to the leprechaun somewhere, and it's a super tight close up on his face. And he looks up me flute. And it's like he can hear it. Oh, okay. And it's some of the scene, because he still seems to be in the club. Yeah. But the only reason I know that is because I have now seen the whole film. This is what I mean. There is a scene that I believe belongs in that spot that is cut and put later.
Okay.
And so it no longer, I mean, not that it made sense. Anyway.
Yeah.
But then after that, then they go back to Chow's shop for party supplies.
Yeah.
And
which I think is weed.
Oh, yeah, probably. And then Post blows into the flute again, and the same thing happens again.
But he's not blowing into it for any reason. It's like the two of them being Stray and Butch are like trying to get the plot to move forward.
Right. And
this actor is just, it's like almost like if they could have afforded it, it would have been like a split diopter thing because he's so in the foreground.
Yes.
And he's just sitting there looking at this thing like depressed. And every so often he's like, and it makes the magic happen. That sounds wrong.
And I think it's like, again, in a competent film,
right?
They're trying to set up the fact that like this is a magical item
that
they wouldn't
slowly discovering.
Yes, but then it takes all of them too long to realize that what it does.
Well, and it's like he knows it before the other two, but then he also spends too long of a time trying to convince them of this thing when the way he eventually convinces them is like, well, watch. And it's like, do that first.
Yep. That's what I mean.
But he's depressed, man.
Oh, yeah.
He's going through it. He shot a guy who lived.
Must be that.
Yeah. Must be Santa.
But yes, after he blows on it the second time, we cut back to that same shot of the leprechaun reacting like he hears it again from across town or whatever. And then he's like, I'm going to go get that flute of mine from those guys.
Can you say it like him, though?
No.
Okay.
And so he wants his gold back from Jackie D. So he, of course, sends a woman.
Well, so, okay, very quickly, he shows up to the door and he's like, I'm here for me gold. Yeah. And Jackie D's like, get the fuck out of here, you child. I'm not buying your Halloween costume.
Yeah.
Which is like, that's the stupidest fucking dialogue I've ever heard. Why would he's wearing it. Yeah. Why would you think a child is at your pawn shop in the middle of the night to sell you the clothes off his back? And if that is something you're used to, you need to stop doing that.
Oh, wait, so you took it as buying as in like he was trying to sell it? Not like I'm not buying that costume you're in.
No, I think I'm right. He's a pawn shop owner.
I didn't think of it that way, but that makes sense.
Oh God. Anyway, either way, it's stupid. Things. He leaves and he runs into a very tall woman. And she's like, "Oh, Jackie D." And
her name? Jackie C. I'm not making that up. I wrote it down.
Is she played by anybody?
Nope, I don't care.
Okay, good.
I don't know who this woman is supposed to be, but he clearly knows her and she knows him.
Yeah, and they have a very sexual and illicit past because they start fucking. They just start doing it, fucking doing it in the middle of the street, by the way, against his still on car. And they're just like, oh, Jackie, yeah. They're like, we're the Jackies. Oh, God, they're the Jackie Jacks.
Wow.
There it is.
We got there.
The jack off. But they start jacking each other off or whatever. And then in what is a terrible visual effect, she begins to slowly change into the leprechaun.
Yeah.
And then it hard cuts to the leprechaun who's laughing because this is one of his little tricks. This is the kind of trick that got that guy to try to make out with a lawnmower.
Yeah. Okay.
The chili dog man.
Ian.
Yeah. The chili dog man. Go back and listen to our episodes. He loves chili and assumedly to rape. He's just a terrible person.
Yeah, he was awful.
But anyway.
He got what he deserved.
He did. He got lawn mowed. They try to do the thing where they cut to the leprechaun like they did in that movie where he's like in the corner laughing. Can you tell me where he is supposed to be?
Okay. So this plays into my editing issues.
Yeah.
So this shot is reused again at the end of the film or toward the end of the film.
Okay.
When he is locked in the Reverend safe.
Oh my God, you're right.
They used that footage for here.
I love the people who haven't seen this movie who are listening to us talk about this and you're like, in the Reverend safe. That has to be whiplash of like, wait, what happens next?
Yeah, we hang out in a church for a while.
Don't worry, guys. That's the next part of this. That's the second half of the second act.
Yeah.
Second act, by the way, hour and a half long.
But so it's a completely unrelated shot that they have inserted here because in the moment, we're seeing Jackie D is driving his car. He stops because of the lady. He gets out.
He's in the middle of the road. And he's like, I haven't seen you in so long. And she's like, put your tongue on my tongue. And then they just start fucking,
and so, like, the only way that I can head logic it in the moment is like, where would he be hiding? Is he in the trunk?
That's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. I was like, why is he like, I'm not buying your costume. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go get in this guy's trunk.
Right. And he just hangs out and waits.
Yeah, this isn't the same leprechaun as the leprechaun from the first movie who can do wacky gags on roller skates and teleport.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So this is a leprechaun we have seen in this series who can teleport. But this one opens and walks through, I don't know, 5 or 6 doors.
He just slowly walks through doors like 24 times.
Yeah, over and over again in this film.
The only thing that's important is that Jackie D is dead.
Yes.
He died from sex with Jackie C.
Yes. But yeah, I believe that is a reuse shot
from
later.
You're totally
that
right.
They cut in here. As is anytime you see that night, that cityscape shot, they use it like 4 times.
Every fucking 20 minutes.
Every night.
Yeah. Well, and they have a daytime version of it too. But that's what I'm saying is like every time you see that shot, you're like, and fade to black because it has to have been for commercials.
Yeah. It
you know
very
what,
well
guys? It is.
Wow.
I'm saying it.
Oh, he's saying it. The Lep then goes to Chow's shop.
Yeah.
And he strangles him to death. But like when you see his hands, you only see one of them, but it's like on the side of Chow's neck, all 5 fingers, including the thumb. It's not like he's wrapped his hand around like you would choke someone. But I don't know if he's like using both hands to kind of cup either side. It's awful. The way that it's shot.
It's an incredibly slow motion karate chop because of the stereotypical play at work.
Oh, let's move on. So this is where the guys are like hanging out on the rooftop, talking about what they've done.
Yeah, are they homeless? You know, this reminds me of Always Sunny in Philadelphia when Mac and Charlie fake their death.
Yeah,
and they're on the roof of Patty's. Why are they on a roof?
Yeah, we don't see.
Do they live anywhere?
Where do they live? Because the whole rest of this plot is them going, okay, we gotta find a different place to hide out every night until we can get to Vegas. But yeah, why wouldn't they just? Wow, I haven't thought about that. Okay.
They're on a roof across the street from a party, which is just an excuse to get whatever this movie was allowed to do as far as TNA is concerned. Because in a weirdly creepy shot, it goes from them partying on the roof and it cuts across the street to the party through the window and just really tight in on this woman's abdomen. And then it cuts back to them. And I only notated that because it's like there is no nudity in the movie, but it's a lot of like. It's a lot of skin tight clothing and exposed midriff.
Yeah. Which I love, an exposed midriff.
But again, Teen Nick.
Yeah.
Because that's the level that they would get away with.
Yeah.
Or like kind of daytime syndicated MTV is what it reminded me of a little bit.
But Mac Daddy shows up.
Finds them immediately.
Yes. And he has the amulet.
Because he can hear the flute.
Oh, yeah.
They all can hear the flute.
Well, he knows what it sounds like because that's the key to his success.
It's the key to his heart.
And that too.
That and solving sex crimes.
But
for years.
That's what he's best at.
Yeah, he went on from this. He was like, man, I don't need this flute. I just need this, I assume, Sherlock Holmes hat and magnifying glass. I've never seen SVU. That's
he definitely wears that in that show.
Okay, good.
But yeah, he tries to kill the guys here for the flute. And this is where, they're like, okay, we got to lay low with whoever we can until the audition.
I don't even remember how they get away.
They jump off the roof into a dumpster.
Oh, right.
And then they run away. Because they Mac Daddy pulls his gun to shoot them, but because the leprechaun ripped his finger, his trigger finger off, he's having a hard time holding the gun. So then he gets his henchmen to shoot at him, but they've already run away at that point. So then their first person that they go to stay with is their transgender friend.
Yeah.
Fontaine,
whom they misgender a dozen times as a joke intentionally. They call this character like the freaky boy or something. all this transgender woman does is be incredibly kind and understanding.
Yeah,
and
honestly.
The movie mocks her horribly.
Yeah.
And then kills her in a really like sexually derogatory way.
Yeah.
I hate this.
Oh yeah. No. It is.
And it's homophobic because they all sit in the back. And at one point she flirts kind of with the group just to be flirty. They obviously know this person.
That's where it's confusing. Where it's like, why are you in this person's house? This is the first person you thought of like, oh, who's somebody who we know who would hide us out for a while. Okay, great. And then they're sitting in her living room and they all are just like nervous and just like looking around the room at each other and like weirded out by the whole thing. And it's like, but you know this person.
Right.
They're your friend, we would assume.
You know her by name.
Yeah.
And where her house is. My thought when I first saw it is that they keep making the joke that Butch needs to get laid, that he needs to see and to experience the womanly wiles, right? And so where I thought they were going is like, oh, this is like Butch's love interest, and that's why people don't know about it. And that would be funny.
Okay.
Like, it wouldn't be disrespectful. It would just, that I could see in the early 2000s that playing for a decent character thing and a decent joke, a payoff.
Oh, absolutely. There are ways that you could write this that you could, in non-offensive ways, make this funny.
She could be helpful and a person instead of a rug.
Yeah. And a punchline.
And also you could actually cast somebody that is queer in any way instead of obviously like what comes off to me is like an extra from the fucking Jersey Shore.
Yeah. Fontaine Rivera is played by Lobo Sebastian. He was in Next Friday, that franchise. He is in Ghosts of Mars.
What?
The 2001 John Carpenter film. Both of those star Ice Cube.
Oh my God. Okay. I forgot Ice is in fucking Ghosts of Mars. Really quickly, total apropos of nothing that we're talking about. I very rarely talk about this on our show, but Alistair and I do weekly streams of typically survival games. We've been playing another survival game called Raft. If you want more information about that, we kind of cross post with him about that. And then he posts about like what day we're going to play. So if you're ever interested in seeing he and I play some games, check us out.
Yeah.
But the next game we're going to play, well, maybe not the next, but like something that we're coming up to is that Toxic Crusaders game that John Carpenter made.
Yeah.
So that's because he was like, well, we have this one or this one or this one or this. And I was like, no. The one with John Carpenter's name. That's the one that I want to play. I haven't gotten to pick a game yet.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm picking.
It looks good from the trailers I've seen.
It looks very good. Yeah. Plus, John Carpenter is 50,000 years old. So if anybody can make a video game.
He loves video games.
And music.
That's what he wants to do.
And not Halloween by Rob Zombie.
He's also making has made and is coming out soon, a graphic novel, I think.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's a big hand in that, actual like Halloween 1 video game to whatever degree.
Yeah. But yeah. They're at Fontaine's and they're like, we just have a quick scene here that serves no purpose other than to put another rap song in and to have them show off the power of the flute. Cause they're like, well, we gotta practice before, we gotta rehearse before the thing. And so they go out in the little courtyard and they are rapping. And then one of the neighbors is like, you guys need to shut up, turn that crap off. And so then Post blows the flute and then he's like, oh, no, please play more. And then everybody comes out for like a block party to listen to them rap.
Right.
And then once everybody's done, Miss Fontaine goes to bed and then the leprechaun just walks into her house.
It is like...
And the shot is out of focus.
It is.
When he comes in, completely out of focus.
It's not centered.
Nope.
It's like they had it set up and then like a cat bumped into the tripod and they're like, who fucking cares? Who fucking cares? Let's get
Nobody's going to watch Leprechaun in the Hood.
But then, because all LGBTQ people are disgusting sex perverts in the mind of people that write tepid comedies in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yep.
Miss Fontaine sees the leprechaun and she's immediately like, come over here and fuck me.
I did not see that coming.
I'm happy for that. But yeah, so she's like, hey, why don't you come into my room, little man? And the leprechaun's like, whoa. And then he goes in, and then they are on her like balcony.
Yeah.
And they hear sex noises, and they're like, ugh.
Yeah.
What a freak. And they open the door, and it looks like the leprechaun is making sweet love to her.
Yeah.
But he is instead has slashed her throat.
Right. But
Looks terrible when it's off screen.
But the leprechaun is under the blanket, so they don't see that. They think that she's just having sex
With who?
Someone who
Great.
I don't know. And
They're literally running from two groups of people.
Uh-huh.
And at no point were they like, oh shit, there's a stranger in here.
Yeah.
They're just like, man, what a freak. And it's
Pretty
like,
much.
good job, you terrible characters.
And then what I'm more confused about is that they then all go into the bathroom together for some reason, because then whenever they peek out and they notice that the leprechaun is like looking through her drawers and
You
stuff.
mean walking and opening doors?
Yeah.
Right,
As he loves to do in this film.
Yeah.
And so he's looking for the flute, I guess, in this apartment, and they just like they open up the bathroom door and they're like, oh, that little green guy's here. It's like, what are you guys doing in there?
Well, they were going to jack each other off.
Oh, okay. Because they got turned on by
thinking about,
Yeah. Okay.
But they couldn't admit it to each other that the thought of making sweet love to Miss Fontaine had turned them all on.
Huh.
So they were jacking each other off in the bathroom.
I think we're getting to the heart of this.
Yeah, that's what they were trying to do. They were going to play each other's flutes and then make a rap about it.
Man, I'm proud of Butch. He was finally going to get some.
Not the thing that everybody was saying.
No. But Butch does get to show off his big brain here.
Yeah.
Because he puts some chemicals.
And in a 10-minute sequence that should have been 10 seconds.
Yes.
10 minutes is an exaggeration.
But it is too long.
Okay, fine. In a 3-minute segment that should
I
have
didn't
been.
even fight you on the
No,
time.
I'm fighting myself. That should have been a 3-second.
Yeah.
They set the leprechaun on fire.
Yeah. Now, pretty good stunt.
It's a really good stunt. It's such a good stunt that it's like, was that Warwick?
I don't know. It looks, I don't know how much the face moves. So that almost looks like a mask, just a solid mask.
I guess there have to be little people stunt people.
Yeah. I mean, like in the original Deep Roy.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
So, I mean, there are different,
Well, either way, it's only a good effect because they literally set someone on fire.
Yeah.
But,
and it goes on for, I mean, they shoot it in slow motion, which is like good. It looks good. But it also goes on for a while.
My complaint is that it adds nothing.
Oh yeah.
It does nothing for the story in any way.
Yeah. Cause then they go to Reverend Hanson's church.
Well, yeah, they go to Post's grandmother's house. And this is the only reason I bring this up is because she's like, she's blind.
Yes.
And she's like, hey, Post, hey, Stray. And then she like kind of sniffs at the air. She's like, Butch, is that you? Because she does the same thing. She's like, is that you, Stray? And it's like, well, if they all three hang out all the time, why are you asking? Mm-hmm. But then she's like, boy, you still a virgin? And it's like, could you smell?
Oh, yeah.
It's just so bizarre the way that scene plays out. But then immediately they're like, we need sanctuary. And then it cuts to the church.
Yeah, because they're like sleeping
on like pews.
Yeah, by pews you mean folding chairs.
Yeah, that are pushed together in an office.
Yes, because there's literally like a computer in the background.
There's also like a poster that looks like something you would see in the Da Vinci Code.
Yes.
It's like a weird
art.
Like layers of hell.
Yes.
And they were like, well, hell,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get it.
But again, I have only ever been in my religious career, we'll call it. I've only ever been to predominantly white churches.
Okay, true.
So do predominantly black churches have folding chairs and pictures of hell in them often? I wouldn't know.
No, but man, I bet black church is really fun.
It's got to be infinitely more fun than white church because white church was terrible. Yeah. White church taught me that if you kill yourself, you go to hell, and still made me want to kill myself.
Yeah.
So
anytime I think about that, like the difference in churches and things like that, because I've been to a couple different churches over the years, different denominations and whatnot. Is that the right? Not denomination.
Denomination.
Okay. But there's a Simpsons episode where they end up, for whatever reason, going to oh my God, what is his name? Dr. Hibbert, his church in an episode. And I just remember Bart Simpson, like as me seeing it as a little kid, Bart Simpson going in and they're all singing and praising and everything's big. And he's just like, oh man, Black God is awesome. And I'm like, man, I want to see what that's like, you know?
Yeah. That's a good line. That's a good line. Unfortunately, we don't get Black God. We just get White Leprechaun.
Yeah. Reverend Hansen finds them there. He's played by Ivory Ocean, which is an awesome name.
Especially for a big fat guy.
But he was in The Mask.
Because Ivory like an elephant, why is the ocean? Right? He's in The Mask.
It's great.
Yeah.
He plays Mayor Tilton in the Jim Carrey comedy The Mask. And then he was also in the 97 David Lynch film Lost Highway.
Okay. This is my least favorite part of the movie. This is where a movie that didn't have anything to fall apart falls apart. Very basically, they go, we need sanctuary in your sanctuary. And that's like a haha moment. And he's like, fine, but you got to do our music. Because anything to do fucking stupid music.
Yeah, you gotta work in another music video section.
But they then improvise a rap to Jesus Loves Me. And it's like fucking Stray is like, then I'm gonna go fuck a hoe.
Yeah.
And no one no one is like, hey, don't do that.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck's your problem? They're just like, and
we'll
they
just keep going with it.
They keep improvising. And then everybody's getting ready to leave. Post blows the flute again. Everyone comes back. Then it's a real rap, but they do all the same lyrics. And then at one point, Post is like, is that Coolio? And it is. I hate this fucking movie.
But he's in 2 shots and does nothing. It's like
he doesn't have a line.
Him blowing the flute drew him in from the street.
I guess
is what I assume happened.
Why he's
there?
There's
no payoff. There's no anything. They just point him out, which also feels weird. Where it's like, whenever he walks in, it's like, I know that that's Coolio. You don't have to point it out to me as the audience member.
Well, because it could be the thing of, oh, Coolio wanted a cameo.
Right.
So to say, is that Coolio tells you, the audience, that, oh, no, that's him playing himself. But it doesn't matter.
Because
Shut up.
Yeah, because he doesn't do anything to solve their problems or to go, man, you guys are really good. Here, look me up.
It's like if in Seed of Chucky, if in the background of the studio that, I was going to say Tiffany. That's funny that I thought of Tiffany's name before her actress, whose name I still cannot, Jennifer Tilly. Thank you. Seeing you make the jaw mouth made me remember. Yeah. The jaw mouth. That's what I do when I say PJ. But it's like in the background of that production studio, if Redman walked by, because like he didn't have any lines or anything, it's like, oh, that's funny. Okay, that's a good cameo.
Yeah.
But if she turned and was like, Redman, is that you? And then he's still not in the movie.
He just kept walking.
Right. That's the equivalent. It's so stupid.
Yeah. It really, and then it begs the question of like, well, was he just in the area?
Maybe he liked the Leprechaun movies. Apparently his community tends to love these movies, is what the Census Bureau tells us.
Maybe he's a big fan.
I hope he is. Because he's in the worst one. But they, and everybody loves it. And then catastrophe.
Yeah, because everybody leaves the church service and they're hanging out. And then Mac Daddy and the Leprechaun show up at the church at the same time. Now, this is where...
Yes.
Your one bit of...
There's one thing in this movie that I enjoyed. That made me...
We found it.
It made me actually laugh. I engaged with it for one moment. And it's because it isn't a very original or creative joke. It is, what I said earlier is it's very Mel Brooks. And they're all like up in like the rectory or like the attic of this church. And it's, the 3 of our 3 leads, and then the Leprechaun is sitting next to him. And it's like, I don't remember what they say. Something like that was like close. Or
Post,
like, we
Post
got
is
it.
like, yeah, we're gonna get out of here. We're gonna make it, right? And then they like,
yeah, it's like a fist bump. It's like, right. And then the next one will turn to the next one, right. And then it's Butch, and Butch turns to the Leprechaun, and he's like, right. And then the Leprechaun's like, right. And then the Leprechaun like double takes for a second, and they all look, and then the 3 leads are screaming, and it's like Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
It's a classic. But the way they scream, and it's just Warwick doing the crazy eyes, like, in the corner, it made me laugh so hard. And I don't know if it made me laugh because it's genuinely funny or if because it's like, how have we gotten here?
Yes.
Like, this is now, it was already bad, but now it's like bad and a farce. And it's like, you have to earn being, you and I talked for like half an hour last night, maybe longer,
about
Zucker Brothers movies specifically, and like Mel Brooks movies, like rug pull comedies. You have to earn those moments. So it's like, I don't know if I enjoyed it because it didn't, and that in itself is like a rug pull.
Yeah.
But ultimately, you have one moment that I like. That's it.
Hey, I really like the moment where he pulls that bat out of his fro.
Sure.
So everybody gets one.
Everybody gets one. Isn't that right?
Leave a comment. What's your one moment in this film that you actually liked?
And if it's the rap at the end, unsubscribe. No, don't.
No, please.
No, you're fine. We'll pay you.
But yeah, they scream and run out of the closet or whatever, and Mac Daddy and one of his henchmen are there, and they hold them at gunpoint. Now, this is a thing that I literally didn't pick up on. I don't know why. I made the connection on my second rewatch this week. Please.
He's right behind you.
That then kind of pays off toward the end. I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing.
Mac Daddy's threatening to kill him. Post is like, well, what are you going to do about the leprechaun? He's right behind you. And Mac Daddy's like, yeah, bullshit. And then the leprechaun, to not be outshone, uses his magical power. So remember, we've added heat, metal, and lightning. And then he shows off another power where he can wave his hand and you blow up.
Yeah. It's like your heart just bursts out of your chest.
Yeah, their chest explodes.
Now,
why doesn't he do that to everyone? Why hasn't he done that to our leads?
Yeah.
Why didn't the second he saw that Mac Daddy had the fucking flute in the beginning, he blow up his chest?
Maybe he has to. Maybe it's like in Dragon Ball Z, like certain powers that they use, they have to. It takes time to power up to be able to use it.
You can't just go straight from regular Saiyan to like Super Saiyan 3.
Right. Now I will say that whole gag with the chest thing, it was all built around them already having that chest piece with the hole through it, which is why I think it gets used 2 more times after this.
Yeah, because the cat's out the fucking bag. He can blow up your chest. Do that forever.
Yeah.
All your other powers are like, you know what? I haven't done in a while. I haven't made a gun go wub, 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 wub and glow red and hurt somebody's hand. I'm going to do that instead of I always just blow them up.
Right.
It's like,
it gets boring after a while.
You know what it is? It's like the Homelander laser vision. It's like every so often he wants to put his fist through someone's chest because he's evil and he hasn't done that in a while. But ultimately, he usually laser visions people.
Yeah, because why not?
Why not, baby?
It's the gold standard.
You're Anthony Starr, laser vision people.
Yeah. Wait, he could really do that?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like the chest piece that they have for this is why they use the blow up thing. The reason that they use his laser vision so much is because that guy can actually do that.
Wow.
That's a Third Channel fact.
We
stand by it. Derek stands by it.
Yeah. But yeah, that happens. And then they hide with the Reverend in his office. And then much like they do in Leprechaun 2.
Exactly like it.
They trap him in a safe.
But they don't care about him being allergic to iron.
No.
Being in the safe, they don't specify that it's iron, even though it's a big wrought iron fucking safe.
Right.
But he's fine in there.
Yeah. And this is where we finally get truly introduced to the zombie fly girls that the leprechaun calls to do his killing.
His bidding, yeah.
This is where they cut that shot to use earlier where he wasn't in a trunk, but it appears that he is.
Gotcha. We also got my favorite line in the movie from this because it's stupid and I hate it, but it's so stupid that it stuck out to me. The Reverend says, and I quote, "What kind of voodoo bullshit have y'all gotten yourselves into?" Well, he's obviously a leprechaun. He's not voodoo at all. You're a reverend. You're supposed to know about this stuff.
Yeah.
Jesus. You know?
Well, yeah, that's what he knows.
Is Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has a personal relationship with Jesus Christ.
And Marilyn Manson is a sex pest. Yeah. And like a rapist.
Well, yeah.
Cancel.
Yeah. one of the guys, our guys, leave. They take the Reverend's gun. That's a funny bit, right? Everybody knows he's got a gun. Anyway, they leave, and then one of the zombie fly girls show up to the church, and the Reverend immediately is a sex pest and is like, I'm not
like, hey, baby, I'm gonna try to fuck you.
Yeah,
and they wear glasses because their eyes glow green.
Yeah, that's how you know.
Thing. Yeah.
And then she doesn't do anything to him other than distract, because then the leprechaun like doesn't really punch through his chest, but just kind of like forces his clawed hand through his chest, which I assume is the same chest piece that they've just dressed up
got a
again.
hole in it. Yeah. My question is how did he get out of this thing?
Right. Because from previous movies, he can teleport, but in this one, he doesn't. But like, I don't know, maybe one of the zombie fly girls went up there and got him out of the safe?
Maybe.
But we have no explanation.
It's Chris Angel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He came over from Vegas. But yeah, so the Reverend's dead. Basically, anybody who has helped them has now died.
Yeah.
And the guys go to the audition at the hip hop contest thing, and Post uses the flute on the guys who are running that contest. And then they perform a rap song.
Which is not about positivity.
No, it's just a hard rap song that negates everything that Post stood for in the whole
about
first place.
Being badass and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they win, and then they get an offer to go to Vegas for a shot at a record deal. And then all the zombie fly girls show up with the leprechaun wanting the flute.
How does he get into the room?
Well, he opens the door.
He slowly walks through
and
the
then
door.
he just kind of, he meanders through.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
Yeah.
He typically kind of peeks in before he comes in.
A little bit. Like normally he does something. In this, it is truly like, did you hold the door? Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
He just walks through it.
Like, yeah, because in Leprechaun 2, he like sneaks through a window at one point. I think that was funny to me, but like, yeah, he just, I don't know. There's something comical about
him just being a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like he's doing all the things that he's doing, and then he's gonna like submit his W-2, and like he was at a drive-thru earlier that took a little too long. Like, yeah, he's just a guy now. He's kind of a pimp also, which is super bizarre.
Yes, at this point, yeah, apparently that's what's going on.
Yeah, because this movie also plays with human trafficking a little bit. It's like all the bad stuff it does in a really inconsiderate and like kind of tone deaf way.
Yeah. But the leprechaun in this moment magically forces Stray to point his gun that he took from the Reverend at Butch's head.
Yeah.
Threatening to force him to kill Butch if the flute is not returned to him. Mm-hmm. And so Post finally gives him the flute back. But then
he like waits.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Too long.
Yeah.
For your closest friends.
And again, if you were playing around with like, it is an evil item. It's making him evil. The lure of treasure is starting to, like, if he was like Leprechaun 3 about to become a leprechaun himself or something. Like, if they were playing around with any of that, that would be an intense moment. Mm-hmm. But they're not.
They're just like Butch and Stray are just begging Post to give up this flute.
So we are then left to believe that he is just a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Which he kind of is.
But he's spreading a positive message.
Sure.
But yeah, he gives it up. But then as the leprechaun leaves, he like charges after him. And so the leprechaun causes Stray to then point the gun under his own chin. And then in a true film school finale of a film,
The Sopranos,
they cut to black and as a gunshot sound happens.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're sad. They leave Stray's body in his car, I guess, in that same lot that they were at where they made that weird edit with the crossfades.
Yeah.
Because
they're like, well, yeah, somebody will find it.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess that it's because they assume that the cops wouldn't believe that it wasn't them.
I guess.
I don't know. This whole thing falls. I mean, it's already fallen apart.
They have terrible. We know Post's grandmother, but we don't know any of the living situations or the family situations of anyone else in this film.
Well, the good news is that's where he ends up going.
That is true.
Because his grandma's like, oh, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, hey, what's up, little man? Or the grandma's like, what's up, little man? And then it's like, it's the leprechaun. And she's like, man, you need some food. and then feeds him what I assume is lard.
Yeah.
It's like a chalky white squishy substance that she feeds him.
Yeah.
And then
again, she is blind.
Right. So it's very much like the Bride of Frankenstein, where Frankenstein meets the old man and they befriend each other.
Oh, I was going to say it's much like the woman that Deadpool lives with.
Blind Al. Yeah. Okay. That's actually better. But then he kills her, but then that's a dream.
Yeah. Because she like accidentally stabs him in the eye with a fork.
Oh, right.
And then that's a nightmare that Post is having, followed by...
He wakes up and he opens the door and Stray's there and he's dead. And he's like, why did you do this, man? And then he wakes up again.
Yeah.
And that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my entire adult life.
It's one of my least favorite things in movies is the, like, once you've woken up from the second or third nightmare, I'm like, oh, at any point this movie, you could just, the whole thing was a dream.
Yeah.
And that's typically going to piss me off.
Well, the other thing is, like, imagine if you took your least favorite, like, kind of expressive visual art. Some people don't like impressionist paintings. Some people don't like dot matrix paintings. You know, there's always a type of art that usually doesn't resonate with you. Now, imagine if you had a gallery of art of that style made by AI. It's like, oh, well, not only is this the thing I don't like, but it's also made in this terrible, soulless, vacuous way that does nothing but piss me off. That's what that is.
Wow.
So now we're at our finale.
Yeah. Real quick, I do want to give her a little credit here.
Okay.
Post's grandmother, Mrs. Smith.
Oh my God.
It's played by BB Drake.
BB Drake.
She actually, I think, has a pretty good, I think she was like a stage actress and things, but she is in the 93 horror anthology Body Bags, which is directed by John Carpenter and Toby Hooper, as well as a couple other people because it's an anthology. She is in Space Jam.
What?
She plays Michael Jordan's housekeeper.
Oh, well, that's...
I assume in the scene where the Toons break into his house to steal his jersey and shoes.
Probably.
But it's been a while since I've watched that. I do love Space Jam. She is also in Friday After Next from 2002. So another one of those Friday movies.
Damn.
And then she is in Family Reunion, the movie, which Butch Red Grant directed.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you think they met here?
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
I would assume.
He was like, man, I really like that old lady who called me a virgin on camera.
Yeah.
By the way, she's not like, man, you fuck yet. She's like, are you a virgin still? Like, she uses that terminology. It's super weird.
But then Butch shows up to Post Grandma's house.
And he's like, I got a plan.
And so he pulls out his Leprechauns for Dummy book.
At which point, I audibly said, oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's not funny.
And no, it's not.
No, it's annoying.
Do you think that that's an actual book, or do you think they printed that as a prop for the movie?
No, I think.
I mean, there's a lot of those dummy books out there.
Well, you brought up earlier, I don't understand why the flute thing keeps getting brought up. Because, like, Always Sunny, another time to mention that show, they bring up flutes with leprechauns. You gave another example.
Yeah, there is a, I made a reference to it several weeks ago in one of these episodes. Because I guess it's a video you've never seen somehow.
No.
But it is a viral video that was on YouTube over a decade ago of the leprechaun in, I think it's in Mobile, Alabama. And it is a actual news report where a group of people in this town in Alabama believed that a leprechaun was up in this tree, and they all gathered there at night and they were trying to see this thing. And there is one point in this video where there is this guy who is like standing on the street corner in front of the tree, and he has like a tactical vest on, and he has a quote unquote flute that is clearly made out of like PVC pipe.
So is he like a leprechaun hunter?
I guess, because then he like talks about how like it's been handed down to him for generations, and he's here to like protect people, and that's why he has the flute.
His name is like Oliver McHelsing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where there's like auto-tune the news song that I just want to know where the gold's at.
So the flute has to be a thing.
Must be.
I don't know.
I've just never heard of it.
Yeah, neither have I.
Wait, does it play into the... Wait, because that's what St. Patrick used to get the snakes out of Ireland.
No, he used like a Honda Odyssey. He drove them out.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, If the movie was more satirical and played the comedy elements better, I'd like this more.
Right.
If the movie had been more serious, I would have hated this.
Mm-hmm.
But because it didn't do either of those, I'm left to feel like this is just shy of the mark.
Mm-hmm.
But Butch's plan is that, going back to lore from the first movie,
Yeah, that is true. They're pulling all the way from the original.
is that if they touch a 4-leaf clover, it saps them of their power. But now it's different. Now it's for a while. For a while. So he chops up a bunch of 4-leaf clovers into some weed and rolls a special joint. And he was like, we got to lure the leprechaun somewhere and get him to smoke this shit.
But how are they going to get close enough to the leprechaun to get him to smoke that
They
shit?
go into his lair in the elevator.
Yeah.
That they then use 30 times.
How are they dressed?
Oh, right. Well, to carry on the memory of the late, great Miss Fontaine, they being transphobic, homophobic, xenophobic, racist,
Awful people.
sexist dickheads, then dress up like women.
Yeah. Basically, there's a quick scene where the leprechaun is shown being given a woman by the zombie.
Like they went out to recruit, which
yes.
plays with like pimp culture in a way that seems inappropriate.
And then Butch is like, yeah, he's been hiding out in this club, and any woman who goes in there doesn't come back out. So that's how we get to him.
Because it's like a sex trafficking thing.
Yeah.
That they're making fun of. That happens all the time.
Yeah.
Even like, especially now, the president. But it happens all the time.
He is.
That's what I'm saying. Everything about this movie is offensive.
Right.
And none of it should offend me personally. And yet I am personally offended. Yes. I'm personally offended from the group of people that doesn't like wasting 90 minutes.
Oh. How long are we on this episode? About 90 minutes?
An hour over.
Oh, God.
We said an hour, and we're 2 hours almost exactly.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap this up right here. They go to the club. They take a short elevator ride up.
A long elevator. The elevator's slow, and they film the whole thing. They do it a dozen times.
And they go up there, and then the leprechaun is basically like, hey, girl, come over here and blow me.
That's good. That's good. That could be yours.
Yeah.
When it's fuck me, that's Beans Morocco. Right. But when it's blow me, that's Ross Bacon.
Of course. Bacon loves a blowing.
And Beans loves doing it. Fucking doing it.
Yeah, it's a really weird scene where the leprechaun does not see through this disguise in any way.
And is trying to get Post to suck his little leprechaun penis.
Yes. But he smokes the joint first.
And then he passes
out. So
yeah, because loses power, by the way, is he doesn't react to it. And like he's not like, ugh. He's just like, oh, and he passes out.
Yeah.
And then
so
the zombie ladies.
They take the flute.
Yeah.
And they run back to the very slow elevator, and they take that all the way back down.
The zombie girls wake up now, by the way, and they're like, what the fuck? Because like his power has been waned, and that's how you can tell.
Yeah. And as soon as they step off the elevator, off camera, you hear Mac Daddy.
Yeah.
And he is screaming and firing his gun. And so they dive behind this bar. But oh no, Butch has been shot in the chest.
It is the funniest reveal I've ever seen in my entire life. This is a moment that made me laugh out loud, but it was in the opposite way of like, this is the most like incoherent mess. It is so obviously amateur. They dive and the camera is on post. And then it just widens, and Butch's mouth is wide open. The worst looking fake blood you've ever seen is all over his face, and he's got 2 holes in the dress that he's wearing, and he's just like, they got me, man. It's like, Jesus Christ. He's like, Post is like, Butch.
Now, Post is facing away from the camera in this point, and he's looking at Butch. Yeah. And then it takes him a long time because, like, Mac Daddy's just screaming from off camera still. I'm just
Calling
like, get out
bitches.
here. Get out here with my flute.
Give me my flute.
Give me my flute.
Look at my flute.
And when he turns around finally, he's got tears rolling down his cheeks.
Yeah.
Do you think that actor somehow worked up some actual tears.
Conjured the tears. No, I think it was like saline.
Yeah.
Like he is like Bausch and Lomb fucking teardrops.
You don't think he's good enough an actor?
No.
Well, all right.
I do not.
So he has the gun from Stray earlier, and he holds up Mac Daddy at gunpoint. And then he eventually shoots Mac Daddy 3 times in the chest.
Yeah. Triple pop.
And then the leprechaun, like in the background of the shot, the leprechaun comes down the elevator and then just walks into frame.
It's like, imagine if this movie had been made in a different way. Imagine if this movie had been made where it's like Mac Daddy drops and then you hear like, and he's like, well done, lad. You finally got rid of me enemy. But instead, he gets off an elevator, like a freight elevator.
And he's just kind of out of focus in the background.
He's like, hey.
Hey, I enjoy what you did there.
I have a very limited amount of time. I got to get back to like Newark.
All of this like this whole ending scene here just feels like we've run out of time and money and everything, because it's just like Mac Daddy screaming from off camera, that happening in the background of a shot. Like, guys, shoot some coverage.
Yeah.
Shoot anything.
But so then very basically, Post has like the amulet ends up back in the air.
Yeah. So the leprechaun pins Post to a girder, and then
using the force.
And then Post kind of holding the flute, he does like a leprechaun impression and draws his attention, and then Mac Daddy gets up and he just hits the leprechaun with a chair. And that's the payoff from like, oh, he's right behind me, isn't he? Oh, I'm not going to look. That's the oldest trick in the book thing. And then after he knocks the leprechaun down with a chair, then that's when the leprechaun uses his magic to explode Mac Daddy's heart.
So he has had his finger torn off. He has been shot 2 times, multiple times, but twice, like 2 instances of shootings. But he died from being exploded.
Yeah. And then, but in his last like grasp of whatever, he tosses the amulet into the air, and it seemingly lands on the leprechaun because he screams.
Yeah.
But then we cut to our epilogue.
Like a hard fucking cut to what
Postmaster P
is like on a smoke covered stage that's clearly in like a civic auditorium.
Yes.
It's like that, or like a shitty, like local dive like venue.
Yeah. It's a karaoke bar.
Yeah, right.
And they've turned all the lights off, and they have John Carpenter on standby smoking cigarettes to fill the room with as much smoke as they could.
John Carpenter, Sean Cunningham, and Wes Craven are all standing off to the side talking about how terrible this character is, blowing cigarette smoke onto the stage.
And they're like, no, use it.
Use anything, please, God.
And there's a hard rap song playing, but Post, his mouth doesn't even seem to be moving.
No, the lyrics are terrible. It's also stupid.
And then he walks off stage and looks at the camera and takes his glasses off, and he has green glowing eyes because, oh my God, the leprechaun won.
Yeah.
Because then we cut to him sitting in a chair with pimp glasses on, and he's like, I taught him everything he knows.
Right.
And then we get a rap song.
He raps, Lep in the Hood is up to no good.
Yeah.
Like a dozen times, and then the movie ends.
Now, what I think about this scene is that it originally was shot and existed because it's in the bar where he first leaves the bathroom, kills the bar owner, and then is like, rap, huh? And I think this immediately follows.
Was a rap break with the leprechaun.
And then afterwards, because that's where you see him in that tap the 3 ladies who then become his zombie women.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the shots where he
blows the flute,
one of them is like, they're like passed out around him.
So maybe it's like he finishes the rap song and then he hears it.
Yes.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a dumb decision, because that actually kind of would have played off. I mean, it wouldn't, there's no kind of about it. That would have played off much better.
Right. And if it's like, oh, well, we think that'll play better over the closing credits or whatever, it's like, okay, well, you could have had that rap song in the middle of it and then just play it again at the end, or write another rap song that the leprechaun can sing.
Or in the scene where he's rapping it in the movie, do a verse and then closing credits, do the rest of it.
Yeah, do the whole thing.
You know what? It reminds me of Men in Black. fucking Will Smith's the Forget Me Not song that he rewrites, Men in Black. It's like they don't do exactly that, but it's like the credits is just that music video.
Right.
And it's like, great.
Yeah. This is the first Leprechaun film that he doesn't explode or is killed in any way at the end.
No, he's fine.
He wins.
Yeah, he goes to space, presumably. Presumably these are out of order.
He's got to be there eventually because that takes place years later.
Maybe that's when he heads to Vegas.
Oh.
He hears about...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You think this whole thing is out of order?
I think you're out of order. You can't handle the truth. Okay, so before I ask the normal question, why the hood? Because I think in talking about all of this, I think my answer, though cynical, is probably right.
Okay.
I think that the hood is a way to be as shock jock, offensive, bullheaded, and stereotypically 2000s that they could have gotten away with. How do we make this an offensive comedy that will pull people in from the jackass crowd and from, you know, like the people that would go on to watch like Viva La Bam and the shows that are like in your face coming at you. You're never going to believe what they say out loud. It's like those people.
Yeah, I'm those people.
Right. And that's why you love this one. You gave it 4.5 stars, Walker. But I think that is I think that's the reason. Okay. Well, how do we get there? Well, what's popular? Well, these things, you know, the Friday series, whatever, these have become very popular. So fuck it. Let's do that. And then they gave it to a dying studio. Well, the dying studio gave it to their least fuckable writers. And those writers managed to make something that should offend everyone. That's my take, is that's the reason. I don't think it had anything to do with the character or with the franchise at large. I think they made the decision to get away with being offensive.
You're probably not wrong.
It's the people that use their social status to use words that might hurt people. And then they're like, well, no, but I can.
Yeah.
I was like, well, you shouldn't.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good enough reason for me.
Okay.
I don't need to put more thought into this movie than I already have.
All right. Well, 2 things for the audience. Guys, if you have a reason that you think they chose the hood and it's maybe less cynical or maybe, you know, maybe you agree, maybe you disagree, you have your own theories, let us know. You can always leave a comment under this episode wherever you're watching it. You can also, I don't know if you'd want to, you just fucking send us an email.
Yeah, you could.
Just send us an email about why you think it's in the hood.
Yeah.
And it'd be the weirdest email exchange I've ever been a part of. But, you know, you can also send us a text message. We put that in.
Oh, yeah. It's in the description.
Only one person's ever done that. And it was Bug.
Yeah.
I was going to make some joke, but now it's Bug. Derek, do you recommend?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you recommend?
No.
Oh.
Not at all.
Man.
I do recommend. Okay, here are a few things I recommend. I recommend actually integrally good rap music.
Yeah.
Yeah. My favorite rap duo of all time is Run the Jewels because I'm white. I recommend and I play video games and I watch Marvel and they've been in both. But yeah, I definitely recommend rap. I recommend good horror movies, actually good ones.
Man.
And then I also recommend smoking good weed.
Wow.
It's nice, makes you feel good. You know, helps you with depression to some degree. Don't obviously only medicate with that. If you need therapy, there's no more stigma. It's 2026. Go get therapy. But also, I recommend good weed. But I do not recommend this movie.
Because you recommend good things.
Yeah. I want to go back to the good things. Thanks for tuning into the Third Channel podcast. Please, if you have the time, rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any of your favorite podcast apps.
You can follow us on social media at Third Channel Podcast, and you can find me online at @DRosenberg.
You can also reach out to us at thirdchannelpodcast@gmail.com, where we check every message we swear. Third Channel is hosted by PJ Minette
and Derek Rosenberg. Theme song and audio engineering by Fly Guy Ty.
The logo designed by Bell DeVelco.
Episode artwork by Nathan Walkington.
Keep it tuned right here to the Third Channel for all things horror. And remember, don't touch that dial. Egg salad and eggs.